You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it is cold as Antarctica in Philadelphia. I am not even going to hold y'all. It is cold out here. I haven't been outside that much, but when I stepped out to record my show On the Record with Ernest Owens on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Progressive Black Talk Media, WRD Radio, on Sunday morning, yeah, I don't know. Like, this weather is not for the meek. It's not. Okay? And that is why this upcoming weekend, I'm already planning. Mr. Johnson and I are going to go on a lovely anniversary Valentine's Day extravaganza. Somewhere nice, somewhere warm. We're going to Orlando. Okay? We're going to Orlando, Florida. We got a resort. This is something that I planned because, you know, his birthday is on February 17th. And so this is all like connected, to us and all the things. This is our time to be together. And listen, I don't play. I don't play about this weather. I don't. He's got the birthday, anniversary, all that. So our relationship anniversary is February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. Our wedding anniversary is October 16th, which is 4 days after my birthday. Which is October 12th. His birthday is February 17th. Our anniversary, February 13th, which is 4 days before this. So our relationship anniversary is 4 days before his birthday, and our wedding anniversary is 4 days after my birthday. Isn't that kind of cool? You know, the more you know. So an Aquarius relationship, a Libra marriage. Just like us. It goes together. So we'll be in Orlando this upcoming weekend. We're going to get in some warm weather. We're going to enjoy some good food. We're going to enjoy all the things. That's going to be the vibe. Like, we're not playing these games. And last weekend I was in sunny LA, so the weather was even more warm and more relaxing. And yeah, I'm just, I'm a little privileged, I must say, to be able to do this because I got some other announcements coming out. I think I already announced already, South by Southwest. March, it should be warming up around the March 15th weekend. It should be warming up by then in Philly, one would hope, right? It's still winter then, right? I think it's still winter. Well, the hood calendar, my hood calendar tells me that, St. Patrick's Day, that's when spring starts, the hood calendar. But, whatever the case is, I am not trying to do these long, dramatic cold. Like, I need some warm breaks in between. Like, after being in LA for a couple of days, it was like, 5 days in LA, the previous week, it was warm, the weather was cool. So I wasn't really feeling that craziness of the winter. And then coming back this week, I didn't go outside too much. So I didn't really feel too much. But Sunday, it was brick, as the kids would call it. It was brick. And I was like, ooh. And then this upcoming week, I got a couple of things I'm going to, but I'm out of here Thursday. So I'm just trying to, break up the winter monotony. I'm just trying to get past all the stuff. But it is cold. It is cold. And there's been a lot of birthdays, lots of birthdays. My bestie Manny just had a birthday last week. We celebrated the Pyramid Club. My good Judy, Miss Sharon, Madam Chairwoman, had her birthday, but she was out, in Puerto Rico. So again, trying to get that warm weather. Like that's what I see what the people be doing. I see what the folks do. During the winters when you all want to go off to these little islands in this warm weather. This is what it is. Okay, get it. And let me say this. This upcoming trip to Orlando is the first time, because I've been talking about this, about trips and things. Was not going abroad. All this stuff with ICE and all this immigration stuff got me feeling like going abroad doesn't sound right, because I feel like if I leave this country's not going to let me come back. That may not be such a bad idea. But anywho, I'm not even going to play the games. So there will be no abroad travel for me unless it is a work visa type of situation. I hadn't been abroad in like over 10 years. The last time I went was, last year I went to London, but before I went to London for the Oxford Union debate and all that, the last time I went abroad was 2014. I went to Ghana, and I didn't go abroad since. So it had been I hadn't been abroad in the 2020s until I went to London. And so I'm one of those people. I just really don't go abroad. I don't know. That's gonna probably change with a lot of things I have coming up. But I'm not really trying to travel abroad as much right now unless there's some serious work, because it's just too much going on in the world, and I know that may make me sound like I should have went abroad more. Like Mr. Johnson went to Cuba, and a couple, was it 2019, something like that, 2019, 2017, maybe before, maybe 2016, something like that. He went abroad like around the time he was in college, like right before he finished. But he liked it though. That was his like only abroad experience was Cuba. That's the only time he's been abroad. Like I've been to Peru, I've been to Israel, I've been to Ghana, I've been to England. Like I've been around. But it's been, it's been crickets, since this Trump administration. Like that's interesting. I've never been like this is the first, like London was the first time I've been abroad in a Trump administration. Like I just, no. So that being said, I had a great opportunity, to get a chance to go to Orlando, got a good resort situation. I had some points, I like to save my points, and Bon Voyage, Marriott Bon Voyage, coupled with American Airlines, all of my stuff, I was able to set up something, because I'm gonna always find a deal. I'm the king of deals. I just, unless, listen, in my personal life, if I do something, there's going to be a deal. Like I rarely do anything whole price. Most of the stuff is either sponsored, free, or deal. Like I don't do the whole, I don't really do anything original. There's always going to be a discount code. Like I just, like why? Like I can't tell you anything I've ever purchased myself in recent years, like off the grip without a sale connected to it. And even if I paid whole price, it was, maybe I got a grant. Because I think about like Apple. I don't think there was any sales on Apple products. Like, how did I get these Apple laptops? Oh, that's right. I had got a grant to get one. Okay. See what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be, like with me, I rarely do full price. I barely do. There's always an incentive. Like, I just get a deal, get a discount, work them coupons. Like, I'm not against that, by the way. People always act like they got to say, I always pay the full price. Really? When you can get a discount? Please. I do too much in this world for people not to, return the favor in some kind of capacity. That's just how I feel. Like I'm always helping people, and I will always help people. Let me be very clear. But I just feel like, why should I pay the full price for things when I know there's always something? And I'm not, short stopping and things like that. I mean, food. Okay, when it comes to food, yeah, I typically, if I'm going to a restaurant, I'll do that for restaurants. But like some of this other stuff, like skincare products and clothes, like I don't understand why anybody pays full price for any types of clothes unless they're getting it custom made or something like that. But like clothes, child, listen, there's always a sale. Like, for example, y'all know I love American Eagle. I love American Eagle down. Well, I have I got a special code for them. But like before then, right? Before I was, close with them like that, I would say there was always, I would always go to clearance. Like I always would go to the clearance section online. Like I would say, what's the online sales? Like I never felt the need to rush and buy anything immediately. No. Mm-mm. Beyonce tickets, concert tickets. Yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like concert tickets, I feel like but then sometimes I get a hookup with that. If somebody got a box or something. But like I just don't. I feel like in a capitalistic society, y'all, please use your discounts, use your codes. Don't feel the need to be the first to get every little thing and bust your. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. I think growing up, I recognized that very young. Like, I mean, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, Burlington, those are my stores, And people were like, well, you didn't go to Prada, Gucci, Fendi, Polo. Oh, no. I got those things. I just didn't get them from the stores. Like, and no one knows and no one really cares. Like, I really encourage that. Like, please do not go out here and just feel like you got to walk in these stores. I don't know why we do this, people, but like, let's not. Like, I will tell you right now, you can find a lot of good things in some of these stores. They're not as good as they used to. Like I'll stop by Marshalls. Like anytime, like my brother or some of my mentees, they might hit me up. They say, "Oh, I need to get a tie. I need to get something." Let me tell y'all something. I'll take them to Marshalls, and we'll go in there and say, "What kind of black tie?" Oh, that's a Calvin Klein. They won't know. You think I'm going to Calvin Klein and buying the underwear off the website? Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You gonna find it there. Colognes. Now, not all the colognes though, because sometimes you gotta get the Eau de Parfum. Like I need the stronger, the stronger concentrate. Now, if you're looking for a little day, a little spray or something, maybe, but make sure you look at the essence level, because that will get you trapped. So if you're telling me you getting some cologne for like $30, you probably getting the Eau de Toilette, which will go away. Like you won't smell that long. See, that's how they get you with the colognes. Watch out for the colognes. But as far as like other shit, please go in there and get those Polo Ralph Lauren boxes and briefs for half the price. Like, stop playing. Please. Real G's know. Your faves do it too. The real ones know. Okay? Now, not all of the stores are the same. Burlington's, Ross, Marshalls, they're not all the same. Home Goods are not all the same. But if you can go in there and find some things, you can get some good steals. I done went to a couple of stores and I will find a good Burberry item or two. You might find some things. But like, be thoughtful about what you get. Like I always used to remember when I was younger, I would, Polo was the thing. Like Polo was still the thing, but Ralph Lauren, when it was Ralph Lauren, that era, people would go and be like, oh, I gotta go to Macy's or I gotta go to whatever, and they'll spend all this crazy money for the polos. I'm like, you can get the same one. You can find it in Marshalls. You can get it at a lower cost. Like why go through that? They would used to say that it would be something was wrong, like defunct or it would be like there would be something wrong with the item or something. It would be like defactored or whatever they would call it. That wasn't always true. That wasn't always true. Sometimes it's just an oversupply. Sometimes it was just sizes they couldn't sell. Like they would do XLs and things like that. But relatively speaking, they make so many of these damn polos that at the end of the day, tomato. Yeah, I was never spending whole full price for any of these things. You can find so many cool things. Sometimes you can find good retro stuff, like stuff from previous seasons and things, and like people are into that now too. Like it's thrift shopping for those people who don't want to wear things that are worn. It is the elite consignment shop. Like same thing. Like no shame. If y'all going thrifting, you might as well Marshalls. Okay, go to TJ Maxx, get some things, especially for younger people. Like younger people all the way. Like if I'm ever in need to find a very standard like white dress shirts for work, if I ever need to find some white dress shirts, sometimes I will go there if I need to get something quick. If I need something I don't plan to wear that long or little pieces, go there. Like do not sit up and break the bank, or give Amazon your money. And that shit, Amazon stuff is terrible. A lot of stuff on there is just terrible. That stuff falls right off. So you could get something more substantive, like if you just want like a nice navy sweater, but quality from a brand that you trust. Go to one of these stores and get one and pay and get one for like $25 or $20 or something. But like that's my thing, if you can't find a sale. So a lot of these jackets, coats, you can find some North Face, a couple of these nice ones, for a young person. Maybe not an adult. Maybe, who knows? But go in there and go look. A lot of guys out here don't know how to dress. They say they need some work clothes. They need to get a blazer. They need to get this. Why do y'all go to like the most expensive stores and waste hundreds of dollars? I never understood that. Ross, Marshalls, Burlingtons, those type of TJ Maxx, those were, listen, when I was growing up, my mom, listen, she could go in there and find all kind of outfits. We grew up doing that. Graduation suits and, coats and Kenneth Cole. Like, listen, that's how I found out about the brands. Kenneth Cole, BCBG, Max Azria, what's the other one that y'all love? Calvin Klein, DKNY. I remember that. Listen, I grew up knowing all those brands because of Marshalls and things. Go there. Stop playing. Okay? Also, a great place to get gifts. When I tell you they got the best cooking appliances, see, that's where we go now. Mr. Johnson and I, we'll go to Home Goods. We go to teacher. Those are the best places to find some really good cutlery and cheese boards and all kind of stuff you need for the house. That's where we go. Stop going to, what's that, Pure One, all them other places, spending all that money. No, absolutely not. Every time I need to refresh on some stuff for the house, that's where I go. Same items, okay? Same items. You've been put on. Some of y'all need to be reintroduced. Some of y'all done got a little too going on these websites, spend all this money like you don't know where to go. Sometimes I'm tired of shipping and handling. Sometimes I'm tired of opening up a bunch of boxes. Sometimes I like my shit to be put in the bag and I can be able to go straight home. Sometimes I want to feel the things. Sometimes I want to price compare. Remember price comparing? We done gotten so addicted to online shopping. I miss a good mall. Okay, my rant is over. I'm just saying. You gotta feel me. Some of y'all feel me. Like y'all ask me, oh, where do you get this from? Child, listen. Well, a lot of my stuff comes from American Eagle because I am, I'm a proud, I do like, I like how they make my clothes. I like their clothes. However, I do go out. When I go out and get a couple little pieces, I'll find a couple little accessories, undershirts, belts. I'm not spending original price for that shit. I get my shit, I go over there. Gifts, I need to get some stuff for the house. Yeah, go over there. If you don't want to get your clothes from there, fine. But you'll find a good backpack, a good laptop, thing for your laptop, stuff like that. You all love to get these little cups, these little, what is it? The mugs, y'all love those. Love all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling people, it's other products out here. There's other things out here to buy. Even chocolates and snacks. I don't know why people sleep on that. There's also they have really good like boutique stuff. Like what is it like? Oh my goodness. Coffee. I'm not into coffee, but they do sell coffee type, like really boutique coffees and blends and things, mugs, all kind of fancy mugs. But for wholesale, like the cheaper prices. And these are like major brands. I go there for stuff like that. Like I go to Marshall's, some of the best food products, like really nice jams and oils, like really good, expensive Italian cooking oils that will be like ridiculously marked online. They'll have it half price. And it's not even on some expiration date type stuff. But like people gotta go back. One of my favorite things to get from TJ Maxx and these types of places in Marshalls are candles. Oh, I love candles. I'm a big candle person. Like I will always have a candle on or around me. Candles are like my thing. Like that's I've it's just a second nature to me. Also, really over the top, like water. I told y'all about my water. Like I really am to like mineral waters and things. I know people say it all tastes the same, whatever. Listen, I taste the difference. It's my thing. It's my guilty pleasure because I know, but listen, it's my guilty pleasure. But you can go over there and get some really good, like over the top, like artesian water and things. Listen, it's a niche place. I just think people sleep on these stores. I don't know what it is. I mean, the folks that know. But a lot of people I feel like that should know. I feel like my fellow millennials, especially Gen Zers. Like I had to remind my brother. He was the other day telling me, oh, I need to get a black tie. Sir, you live in rented house. Yeah, he live in rented house. You can go over and go get you a tie from Marshalls. Why are you calling me? Don't go over there to Men's Warehouse and spend all that money for a black tie that no one's gonna know where it came from. Go take your ass over, or Bloomingdale's, the little outlet. I mean, they about to Saks is about to close. Liquidation sale. I was on there the other day looking for some stuff. If you didn't know, Saks Fifth Avenue is shutting down. The whole Saks Fifth brand. Saks off. They're doing a crazy, ridiculous sale. Okay, ridiculous sale. Like 70% off of shit. Like they're trying to get rid of everything. Okay, just putting y'all on game. Go get stuff on sale. Stop acting like you got to buy everything off the tag. You don't. Stop it. Because your favorite celebrities, they do it too. Trust me, they do. I was talking to somebody, I won't name her name, but we was kikiing at the Grammys with the Clive Davis part. We was kikiing about, where we was getting certain things. I was like, oh, those shoes are bad. She, oh, I got this. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, you did. We was on a whole little talk. Listen, don't let them fool you. I need to go take my ass to a Marshall's down Rodeo Drive. That is on my bucket list of things. I need to go down to some of these consignment stores out there in LA. When I went to the clubs and the parties. But the next time I go to LA, I got to find some time to go down there on Rodeo. I need to go to the areas where they got the little, because I know the shit be popping over there. I got to get another suitcase. Yeah, I need to get, what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a suitcase, because I'm going to buy a suitcase while I'm in LA, because with my travel situation, I get to bring 2 free checked bags on American because of my Platinum Pro status. But I only carry 1 suitcase when I go because I want to carry everything. But I might actually, the next time I go, I'm going to get a bunch of things. But yes. But anyway, I also say it's cold as hell in Philly, and I just want to stay warm. And yeah, but it's Aquarius season. Lots of birthdays, lots of love. Okay? In the, next round this time, next week, next Tuesday, not this upcoming Tuesday, but next Tuesday, Mr. Johnson is turning 31. Birthday behavior. This weekend is our anniversary, 12 years. We've been together as a couple. 12 years, February 13th. This upcoming week, 12 years, and we're going to be in Orlando. This is different for me because this is the first time I am literally traveling without anything connected to work. I'm proud of this. I'm proud of myself. This is the first time I've ever done a travel experience that does not have any strings attached. Like, I'm not there for work. I'm not doing anything connected to my career. It's just literally a vacation. I know. Now, I do have vacations, but I'm the staycation king. But this is different. I said, I want to get outside the box. And he's always mentioned this. Like, this has been an ongoing thing we've talked about. Like, oh, why we don't go somewhere? I'm like, I don't want to. But because also I'm that person where I'm like, listen, where I live, I can, I'm that person. I know, surprise. I'm like, we can make this in the house. But not when it comes to restaurants, but when it comes to experiences. Like, I'm all like, a spa. Philly has a great spa. The Four Seasons. You can't beat that. Why we spend all this money to go all the way down there to go to the beach? Atlantic City Record. I'm that person. I am when it comes to, I just don't like, listen, like it took a lot of me to go. Well, actually, I guess I went on a trip to Libras. I will love going out with Libras. We went to Chicago, but that was the Beyonce concert. Like we had a purpose. And I will say, Mr. Johnson did do it for me for my birthday, but he forced it. Because if I would have picked, I would have said we could do it, but we went to Chicago. And that was not work related. And we did go to Chicago. And we did have a really good time. And it was not connected to work anyway. We went to Usher concert. But I've never been the person to take the initiative. So I did something different. I took the initiative. Orlando had some good points, resort, good situation. Traveling was decent. It all worked. So look at us. Look at us doing good. So it's Aquarius season, and Libras are comparable with Aquarius, so that's why I got a lot of Aquarius friends, apparently. But, it is what it is. So, reviews. I went to Amelia with my good Judy, Candace. Candace and I have been making plans. We've been keeping up. Last month, we went to Mongdong, and I guess that was, where was that? Not Parkway. It was something. Not Frank. Was it Frankfurt? No, it wasn't Frankfurt. It was Fairmont. Yeah, Fairmont. That area. We went there. It was cute. And so we went there, and that was fun. And this time we went to Frankfurt, which was on the other side of town, to Amelia. This is Greg Vernick's brand new restaurant. He is a restaurateur. He is a restaurant owner. He has a restaurant group, Vernick Food and Drink, Vernick Coffee Bar, Vernick Fish, and now Amelia, which is his attempt to do Italian food. And it is incredible. And let me start by saying that he is one of my, you know what? I got to say this. I might have to say that Greg Vernick's restaurant group, his restaurants, might be my favorite restaurant group. I might struggle with saying this because he doesn't do a lot of variety as far as the cuisine. But because he, a lot of these restaurants, they mix it up. So like Michael Scholsten is mixing it up. He does different types of cuisines, But Salmanov and Cook kind of stick with like Israeli type of Middle Eastern type of food. So I guess they wouldn't have that variety. Jose Garza's was within the Spanish, type of cuisine. It was like Spanish cuisine. Steven Starr, he definitely mixes it up for sure. So I guess, and there's also, high street hospitality, Ellen Yin. She kind of do the same farm to table ordeal. I do like her food, though. I like her restaurants, but it's a little bit smaller. But Greg Vernick, I will say, all of those restaurants are superior. Like Vernick Food and Drink by itself is iconic. Vernick Fish has become an iconic restaurant. Vernick Coffee Bar is a stalwart. Like it's an incredible, impeccable like cafe. Like probably one of the best in the city. Hands down. Like the best place to do lunch. The best pastry situation going on. Like, I mean, High Street definitely have it going on with their pastries, but rival Vernick got a good situation going on over there. I'm actually going to lunch long overdue at Vernick. But overall, I would say superior. Not that many restaurants, but the ones they do have in that family is just superior. And Amelia is nothing different. I mean, this is very different that this is the restaurant that's not with the name Vernick on it. It is Italian. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, another Italian restaurant. And I will say to some extent, I do feel like we are always going to get a new Italian restaurant in Philly, even when we don't necessarily need one. However, what I will say, and what I can appreciate, is that there's Italian, but there's Greg Vernick Italian. I got to keep it 100. Did we need Steven Starr to give us an Italian restaurant, Borromini? No. I can admit that. Food not bad. It's cute. We didn't need that, though. We didn't need it. I'm going to say that we did not need an Italian restaurant from Steven Starr. He's also have given us Italian before in some type of capacity, I feel like. Like Via La Costa. Is that him? Did I misspeak? No, that's Scholsten. Via La Costa is Scholsten, my bad. But like, listen, he did a great job with French. Park is definitely one of the most notable French restaurants in Philadelphia. Is it the best? No. But it is good. It is a very good restaurant. I don't necessarily know if we needed Italian from Steven Starr. But Greg Vernick giving us Italian? Yeah, I'm down with that. That's kind of how I felt about Denzel Washington Training Day. Did I need another movie, another gangster film? Did I need another dirty cop? No. But Denzel wants to play one? Sure. For example, my fave, Meryl Streep. Did we need another movie with an older actress playing a witch? No. We've seen enough witch films. But Meryl Streep playing a witch? Sign me up. So I feel like that's how I feel about Greg Vernick doing Italian. I feel like I was initially kind of like, oh, another Italian, how whatever. But Greg Vernick's take on Italian? Yeah, sign me up. I was very impressed. Very impressed. An incredible experience. Candace and I had a blast. I mean, we was full. We was fat full by the end. Main courses, we had to eat some and take some. I had to bring half of my veal to Mr. Johnson, who devoured it. Oh, he loved it. Oh, it was so good. But they had a delicious fried. It was like a fried veal. Really nice sized portions. very good portion sizes. I'm going to emphasize that. The portion sizes were great. And in a restaurant like Vernick, I would say Vernick in general does not skimp on the portion sizes. Great pastas, so many pastas. We picked two. I loved the crab linguine. That was a really good crab linguine dish. That was notable. We also had this really good chicken. It was a chicken reggaeton. Reggies. It felt like it was playing off for the Reggies in Jersey. But that was really good. This rigatoni with this, but it wasn't tomato sauce. It was a nice cream sauce, but it was not tomato. And I really liked that. It was really good. Very notable. The breads were great. The doride fish that Candace got was really good. The sauce with it was impeccable. Great appetizers all throughout. They had a braised rabbit dish that I saw other people was eating. They said it was very good with a really great glaze and taste and mirror. Oh, everything was good. Everything was good. The porchetta ribs, definitely a standout, memorable appetizer. The porchetta ribs, if you can eat them, if you're into that, please get that with that really good mustard. It was a really great sauce. Really good. Those porchetta ribs, the fact that they had ribs to appetizer, really good meaty rib. Okay, not like a little spare rib, baby. This was a real meaty rib. The meat was on the bone. Ooh, tender and crispy and succulent. Oh, those ribs. I would get 2 orders of those ribs. I was a barbarian. They had a salmon toast, the king salmon toast. That was okay. It wasn't bad. It was just that it was raw, like a very raw salmon type of situation, and I wasn't prepared for that. But it was good. It was a good toast. If you're into that, it's definitely on the fishy or seafoodish side. They had a really good ensalada, which was a really good salad. That was just a really good seasonal salad that had a really great dressing and a very good portion size. Oh, the portion. I keep talking about the portion size because I was very impressed. We got full very quickly. Dessert, they had 2 dishes that was really good. They had really good poached pear with this really great, I think it was like a pistachio sauce. Very, very good. Cream, it was a very good cream. It was like Italian cream. Very notable. But that olive oil cake with the mandarin oranges on the side, incredible. Another great dessert. Love it. Okay? Love it down. Love it down. And it's just so, these are the things that I think people need to check out. Reservations are hard to get into right now. It is the hottest thing right now. It's the hottest restaurant. Shout out to my folks. Shout out to Candace. We got in there, so we can tell you about it. Reservations are hard to get into. People are going in. It's the hottest news. It's Greg Vernick. This is a man who is currently nominated for a James Beard Award. Already won a James Beard Award. One of the best restaurant chefs in Philadelphia. Top down. It's a classic. Of course I was going to get... Listen, I go way back with Mr. Vernick, okay? We go way back. And, I was just in Vernick Fish not too long ago. But I really love his restaurants. And I'm going to Vernick for lunch in a couple of weeks, actually. I'm going to Vernick Coffee Bar. So, yeah, definitely a fan. Highly, highly recommend him. And speaking of which, a lot of y'all been asking me how the book's been going. I'm deep in book writing. I spent this past weekend while it was cold outside, in my lovely home, warm and snuggled, and writing this book. Finished a new chapter of the book. Do I want to talk a little bit? I don't want to tell too much of the book. Do I want to tell? All right, I'll tell a bit. I wrote a chapter on the Tea Party. Okay, that's it. That's all I will say. I talked about Tea Partiers. I really loved the chapter. I really loved writing it. Like, writing this book, I'm back in like my writer mode. Like, it took a little time for me to warm up, especially the beginning of January. But I was definitely like that groove. I'm in the groove now. Like the groove of which every time I have an idea, I'm going to the laptop. I'm cranking out this like I'm in my groove. Like I'm back in it. Like getting into author, like it's like a marathon. It's like training for like a concert, Like there's a certain muscle in the brain for a writer, and any writer knows this, that there is a muscle. And you just have to, like, if you haven't done it for a while, you have to rework it. And it's been a while since I've been, writing in the way in which this requires. That's sitting down, focused, letting the ideas in the mind flow. It took me a little bit to warm up because the last time I wrote my last book, this was during the pandemic. It was easier because I was just writing op-eds and writing stuff on a regular basis. So it was just nothing for me to sit down and just churn. But this time around, I had to warm up more to it, and now I'm in it. Like, now I'm in that flow. Like I have to take times. I have to tell myself, okay, Ernest, sit down. Stop. You got to go out. You got to go outside. You got to stretch. You got to do something, And so, but there's been a period of time where, was it? I want to say Friday night, I was just going for like hours. I was like up and I was just in my bag. Like, I just wrote a whole chapter in one setting. Like, most of that chapter, it just poured out of me. And then I'm working on my next chapter, which I'm like pretty much halfway through the book right now. But I'm writing a chapter on Bernie Bros. Okay, no more. I can't talk to him. I can't say anymore. But I had to take a break. I was like, you know what? I need to breathe. Like, let some stuff marinate. Go to sleep. Let some things, marinate, But I'm in it. I'm in the groove now. Like, I'm in that urge. And I miss writing, like writing consistently. Like, I have fallen in love again. There's so much of the things that I want to write and put out. Like, even when I'm on Facebook, like, one of the warming exercises I've done lately, y'all know I do the black box where I type a bunch of things. And because the day in which articles, like links, paywalls, all of this shit nowadays, I don't want, I love my crowd. I love my followers. I love y'all. I just realized a lot of you are not like, I mean, you're reading articles, you're reading news articles, but like, to try to get you all to read long form writing on a regular basis, I know is a lot, which is why I do this podcast, which is why I've been doing more video and broadcast content, because I know that for some of you all like myself, it's easier to hear something while multitasking. It's easier to have something on in the background. I'm not saying people don't read, but I understand that to demand you all to just even be on that algorithm of like that constant, consistent article shuffle. I know you all on social media. I know you all are going through IG stories more than you're going through different websites and things. So I'm meeting the people where they are. I'm not necessarily dumbing down my content, but I'm also recognizing that there's a way to do this to get the message across. And any professor knows this, any educator knows this, and I consider myself those things in addition to being a journalist. And so I am finding inventive ways to get that across. However, these larger ideas that I've been rummaging on for a couple of years, I'm putting it in a book because I know people still love to read. And I feel like there's a trend now. People are going back to books more. Like, there's a return back. And I love that. And I think people are wanting something about books to justify it, right? The anticipation for this book for me is because I don't write on a regular basis as much. And the things that you do read from me, you want more of it. And I'm recognizing that a book allows me to take a lot of opinions I have about what is going on in the world and put it there. It's like being a music artist. Like, you can do a bunch of one-off singles and appearances, but to put out an album allows you to put all of your ideas and make it make sense in a very coherent body of work. And good albums do that. Good albums allow you to sit with it and process what's been going on in this creator's mindset. Like, what is their view on all these things? How does it tie in? How do we put this all together? And an album does that. And I feel like that's what this book is doing for me on a larger scale. It's like taking all of these ideas I've had about the current state of politics for progressives, for Democrats, for conservatives. How do I feel about this current digital age? How do I feel about influencer culture? How do I feel about, democracy and free speech? Like, all of my thoughts about these, it matters. I'm putting all of it into this book. Yeah, I give y'all a little bit of snippets here and there on the podcast and, of course, on social media. But this book allows me to really invest so much of my intellectual prowess into that and not have to dumb it down, reduce it, simplify it, or be so topical or so hyper relevant on a timely issue, but to put it all into a very collaborative body of work. So you're in for a treat, and I've been enjoying writing it, and I'm in my groove. I'm definitely in my groove, for sure. Like it's fun. So, but I have recognized that the pace to which I'm writing my book, it's not that I'm trying to slow down, because I don't want to slow down momentum, but I also do want to make sure I give myself breathing room, because I don't want to get exhausted. And that can happen. Like writing my last book, I was just so go, go, go. But with this project, because I'm doing so many other things, I'm recognizing that I need to pace myself a little bit. Like this after being in LA and not being able to write because I was enjoying everything, I felt like I had that surge of like really wanting to write even more, because I had been off for a couple of days. But I've recognized this pattern. What I'm doing is a couple of days, relax, get into it, drive. And then a couple of days. And the crazy part is my deadline for my book is Memorial Day. The book will be done by then, of course, because, Libras, we always early birds. But until it is done, I want to be able to really execute this in the right way and give it all the justice. So, yeah. So we're excited. Super Bowl, we're gonna talk about that, because whoa, Bad Bunny, Cardi B, these Patriots, so much. We're gonna talk about it later in the episode. But because I know that's on your mind too. It's a lot. Super Bowl was a lot. These commercials. Yeah, we'll get there. Because woo, goodness gracious. But before I get to hot topics, my episode on the record with Ernest with State Senator Sharif Street, who's running for Congress. Y'all, listen. He went off, didn't he? He went off. If y'all want to listen to the latest episode, the link is in the bio. I'm going to talk more about it, when we get to local topics. But he did his big one. He definitely did his big one. I ain't no ignoring that. He was, listen, he had to respond to his opponents in a particular order too. But people gotta do what they gotta do. And then, you know what? One more thing I want to address. Not that I'm stirring anything up, but I do want to say to clear the record on this particular matter, because a lot of y'all did message me, and I want to say this before we get to hot topics, but I do got to make this clear. There was a flyer that went out from Curtis Jones, his camp. He's in the 4th Ward. He's a ward leader in the 4th Ward. There was a flyer that went out that said there was going to be a congressional candidates forum. And it had my name listed. I think it said hosted by Curtis Jones Jr., the council member. And it said moderated by Ernest Owens, myself. They said it was going to be taking place this Wednesday at a community center gathering in West Philly. I want to be very clear. That was not confirmed. I will not be participating in that. I have nothing to do with the event. I will not be there. And before people say I dropped out, if that's the narrative that's being said, I did not drop out, because you can't drop out of something that was never confirmed. Let me be very clear. So let me just say this, because I want this to be on the record. Last Sunday, while I was in LA for the Grammys, I got hit up by somebody connected to Curtis Jones' camp. They asked me, was I interested in moderating a congressional candidates forum? I said, sure, pretty much. I was like, sure. Let me know the date, the location, let me know the logistics, let me know the time, but I'm down to moderate, because I am down to moderate a congressional candidates forum. They never gave me the date. They never gave me the time. They never gave me the location. All they got from me was that I was down to host something. I didn't know all the details. I didn't know the nature of it. I just was asked. And I said yes, because y'all know how much I love, if you're given an opportunity to do something like that, of course, I'm a journalist. I've been covering the congressional race very carefully. I'm very interested in that. Last Wednesday, I got hit in my DMs. People were like, "Oh, I heard you got your forum coming up." What forum? They were like, "Oh, what questions gonna ask you? Aren't you gonna do the forum next Wednesday?" Next Wednesday? Who? What? I find out that Curtis Jones' camp, the Fourth Ward, all of them, have been putting out this flyer on their social media, and people tagged me to it. And I was flabbergasted because, for starters, I can't even go this upcoming Wednesday. I can't even do it because I'm having a birthday dinner for one of my besties. It's Aquarius season. One of my besties, we going out to dinner. We're gonna have a little feast. So I can't even do that. So I was flabbergasted, y'all, that I was attached to this, and I had no clue. No clue whatsoever. At all. So, of course I was pissed. You damn Skippy. I was pissed because I didn't understand how my name was on the flyer confirmed for an event when nobody thought to circle back to me and actually ask me or tell me, because I would have told them I couldn't do that Wednesday. I would have been open to doing it, but not that time, not that there was no way. So now flyers got to be changed, stuff got to be changed. It's looking like I'm the one that pulled out or backed out of something when it wasn't even possible. So it was just a little messy. But I just wanted to clarify on the record on my podcast what happened, because I don't want people to think that I'm ducking smoke or backing out of stuff or reneging, and that's not how I get down, y'all. If I confirm something, if I say I can do something, and I set it in my calendar, unless there is like a serious crisis or something, for the most part, I'm in there like swimwear. I don't really play those type of games. So, will I moderate a candidates forum down the road? I hope so. And honestly, I would like to do so, after these candidates get on the ballot, to be honest. I think it's a little too early. I know a lot of these elected officials are doing these forums. I'm not really, personally, it's not my preference, because I just feel like if you're a politician, you have relationships with these elected officials, so it's not like you're ever going to be able to do this justice. Like, it's nothing like a journalist, a neutral third party, to do these types of conversations. I just feel like elected officials are trying to do these forums. I'm just kind of like, why? Like, y'all, like, these people. I mean, don't call it forum. Just call it gathering. Just say you're hosting a place for people to collect petition signatures. I don't know shit. I don't know. Everybody wants to do what we do. And I'm referring to journalists, the we, like the free press. I just wish everybody can just find a lane. Like, and also like this territorialism around it. Like, everybody want to put it in different parts and this, that, that. Like, child, whatever. Like, have your events, but stop acting like you can have a legitimate forum where you can ask questions. Like, it's just don't do that. Like, let people, I just do not like the fact that we're in a society that is becoming so anti-news and information from credible sources. Like, I just feel like everyone thinks they can do what everyone can do. Like, no, everybody cannot be a lawyer. Everybody not know the law. Everybody cannot be a doctor and be a nutritionalist. Everybody cannot be a journalist. Everybody cannot be, a mathematician or a scientist. Anybody can shoot their shot and go to school and make it happen for themselves and do that. But just think you could wake up and just adopt these ideas or information. I just feel like we just need to stick to the rivers and lakes that we're used to. That's just my take on that. But nonetheless, Idealistically, I would like to see a candidates forum, or honestly, I want to say a debate. I hate the word forum in this regard. But okay, forums, debates, one done by journalists, two done after the May 6th petition deadline. So right now, congressional candidates are not even official candidates because they have to get enough signatures, to get on the ballot. That does not start until next Tuesday, February 17th. That is when candidates will have 21 days. Three consecutive weeks. They have 21 days to get signatures to get on the ballot. That's when they do petitions, right? So that should be wrapped up around March 6th. March 6th is, I believe, the deadline for them to collect those signatures. After they do so, they will then, there could be a possibility that they might be challenged. And this is not just for congressional candidates. This is for all candidates running in this upcoming Democratic primary. February 17th, which is Mr. Johnson's birthday. Wish him an early happy birthday. February 17th is the day that they can start collecting signatures for petitions, right? They all have to do that. They have 21 days, 3 weeks. That's around March 6th. March 6th is the deadline. At that point, there'll be a window where people can challenge petitions. They can say, look, I don't think my candidate has all the right signatures, or they don't have the right signatures of the district, or whatever. They can try to challenge the petition signatures to try and knock someone off the ballot. And maybe in that time period, we might see some people drop out the race. We don't know. But there is a lot of attention given to that area. We'll see how it plays out. But that's that on that. So we'll see. But I just want y'all to know that as of right now, I am not committed to participating in any of these congressional candidate forums. When that time happens, you all will be the first to know. Okay? If you don't see it on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, or any of my official social media accounts, if you do not see it there, it's not official. So when you all not see that flyer with my name on it, one of you all messaged me and said I knew something was up because I know that you're the type that would say something or would have told us by now. You're absolutely right. If you don't see it from me or hear from me directly, it might be Cap. And in this regard, it was Cap. But nonetheless, I look forward to future opportunities to do something with other folks and, stay tuned. And now for Hot Topics. So the Epstein files have been taking off in its own way. I know that a certain administration, clearly the Trump administration, does not want us to remember this. They don't. They don't want us to talk about this because they want us to be caught up in this conversation around having the Obamas looking like apes and talking about the Lion King. Ain't no apes in damn Lion King. It was in Tarzan, you idiot. Talking about King of the Jungle. There was no King of the Jungle reference. That's more of George of the Jungle, you idiot. But again, none of this matters because at the end of the day, the intent wasn't to do anything with jungles. It was to be racist. And that's what it was, a racist ass post. The end. I mean, did y'all expect my black ass to be like, oh my goodness, as a black member? Like, listen, I don't know. Like, y'all got the wrong Negro over here for that. Like, seriously, I'm not that black person. A racist person doing a racist thing that isn't, I mean, listen, it was disrespectful, it's offensive, all that. But if you think that's going to distract me from what's really happening in this country, I'm happy that there were white people that condemned it and spoke out against it, even if they gave out weak ass statements like Governor Shapiro did. But we'll get more to Shapiro in a minute. We have an update, actually. We have an Ernestly speaking update. We do. Something went down this week. Some of y'all seen it, and if those of you who listened to last week's episode, there was some stuff going on. But we got an update. I got an update that I'm only going to share on this podcast, on this episode. Y'all will duly note it. When I get to that part of the conversation, you just going to put a pin on it and go, duly noted, because we're going to watch this space. But anyway, There's a recent update that said after years of reviewing Jeffrey Epstein's bank records, all his emails, all that seized material, they've basically found him not liable or responsible for running a sex trafficking ring. So they claim they don't have any evidence that he ran a sex trafficking ring for very powerful men. They basically found that, yes, he did sexually abuse underage girls. They had the evidence. The evidence is there. But to frame this as if he ran a sex trafficking operation, they said there is no quote unquote client list. There was no videos implicating others, and there's no proof that his connections to Hollywood celebrities and academics and other international diplomats were tied to this criminal activity. They did have the proof that Epstein did abuse young girls and that his associate Ghislaine Maxwell was charged, but these claims that he trafficked victims to these high-profile individuals were not substantiated according to the FBI. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation says pedophile, yes. Sex trafficking ring operator, no. Okay. Okay. You know my facial expression. Okay. Pursed lips, head nod, bobbed eyes, eyebrow side. Okay. That's what he said. Okay? That's what they're claiming. Okay. Sure. Now, Senator John Ossoff has been already letting people know where he stands on the issue. Basically, he says that Donald Trump cabinet is the quote unquote the Epstein class. Because he's in a very fierce race right now for Senate. And so he's in a very, his race is the one to watch in Georgia. John Ossoff is in a very tight race. I mean, people are worried if his seat is going to be the race to watch, if he's going to be able to keep his seat in Georgia. We'll see. I don't know. With all this stuff going on with Trump, it might look even better for him. We'll see. We'll see. But we'll it's very telling. I think he's going to be fine, but you never know. You can never predict. It's a lot going on out here. Lots going on. This FBI decision, though, a mess. And continuing on with the racism of the White House, after Trump, did his racist post with the Obamas, which thank goodness they haven't really responded as of the time of the recording of this podcast. He says he's the least racist president. Hilarious. Just nonsense. He excluded the only black governor in the United States, my fraternity brother, Governor Westmore of Maryland, from the U.S. governor's dinner. So during Black History Month, he excluded the country's only black governor from what was supposed to be a bipartisan governor's dinner. Westmore was not invited. He says he does not know what Trump's intentional reasons were, but that the optics are not lost on him as a black man. He did an interview on CNN with Dana Bash talking about it. He's not shying away from the realities that, look, I'm the only black man. He released a statement that was excluded. He's the only black governor we currently have. An alpha man at that. Trump is still being racist, y'all. But y'all already knew this. And at this point, whether Tim Scott wants to acknowledge this or not, because Senator Tim Scott, who's the only black senator, Republican senator currently right now, he said that this is the most racist thing the White House has done. Now that's not true. That's not true. But said that the post should be taken down, which it was taken down. But of course, the president has not apologized and probably will not. I just want folks to recognize, first of all, I want to say this to all the white people that listen to my podcast, the ones that do, I want to fill y'all in on something. And I want y'all to really take this, and this is for you all specifically, okay? Please do not inundate the inboxes or text messages of Black people with racist shit. We do not need you all. Unlike your people, because I got to call it out, we don't need to see it to believe it. And quite frankly, we don't need to hear you all tell us that you're shocked. And we don't need you to ask us, can we believe it? Do not have that conversation with us. Please stop fucking playing in our faces. Miss us with the BS. Whether you intend to or not, it is disrespectful. It is annoying. And I was literally at the brink of blocking people, but I said, you know what? Let me just let it be known not to do it again. And so I named it. Please do not send us the shit. I don't want it. Don't send it to me. If you got a Black friend that's into that shit, I don't know. But please, I would just say, you do not need to send us or say or repeat any of the things for us to somehow get some level of awareness. That is for you. That is how you operate. You need to see racism to believe it exists, not I. And if you don't need to see racism to know that it exists, please do not send us the things to let us know it exists. And please do not ask us our thoughts. Please do not. We do not need to give you an explanation or a thought or an opinion. I hated hearing people say, I was waiting to hear your thoughts on this. What the fuck? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Do you hear yourselves? What do you want me to say? I mean, on that. Because honestly, it's not sophisticated. It's not sophisticated to warrant a level of intellectual unpacking. There are some grifters. Oops, I didn't say that. But there are some people in community that really like to take the bait because the perform the rage makes them money. It does not make me any money. I don't desire to make money off of having a rage to the racism. It does not do anything for me. Some people will give you an emotional video crying to get money out of you and sympathy. I don't have the interest for that. Okay, let's call a thing a thing. That was a thing in 2020. Everybody was doing it. I was not doing it. I have no interest. You know what? That's why white folks couldn't take my ass. That's why progressives don't like my ass. That's why white liberals don't like me. Because I am not going to do that thing that you want. No one knows what to do with me. I get it. But I'm not that person. I'm not that Black person. There are Black people who wants to give you poetry and trauma porn and reactionary bait. There's an art for it. It's been happening long before I was alive. I'm going to name it. And they're going to say all the things. They're going to give you videos, and they're going to give you pain, and they're going to give you passion. And there might be some validity in the feelings. But there are people who do that performance for the sake of your guilt, and you will give money. And when there are Black people that don't do that for you, that make you upset or feel shame or discomfort, and the type of shame and discomfort that does not allow you to pay it away. You don't want that. You don't want to see empowered Black people in trauma tell you you're not shit. Fuck you, and let's move forward. You don't want that. Some of y'all got a kink for it, though. Some of y'all do like that. I get it. Some of y'all do. I like the kink. But a lot of you all don't. And so I've learned why, even though people say, Ernest, you've been talking about racial injustice, and why does the Tamika Mallory's and why does the so-and-so's, the Ta-Nehisi, why do they get the sales? Because you got two sectors of those types of people. I'm going to say it because at this point, we at the point where they shit ain't working. It ain't working. So, I remember people used to tell me, oh, that's not the way to do it, Ernest. Oh, fuck you. What way was you doing it? All the Ava DuVernay films of all the When They See Us, all of the visuals and the abuse and they got to see this. No, they don't. Because they've already seen. You know why they don't got to see it? Why white people don't got to see that? Because they're doing it. They're doing it. And they know about it. They don't have to see me say the N-word. They don't have to see me cry. to give a fuck. If you think they have to see us in victimhood to give a fuck, maybe they get a kick out of it. Some of them actually enjoy seeing the visuals of us angry and enraged. And either way, how are you showing up? Because I just don't, I will refuse personally to pimp myself out, my pain, my anger in a way that is digestible for white people to feel a need to give a fuck. It's just not my interest at this point because that tactic has been used. Is it effective? I don't know. I don't think so, because if it was, there would be some serious revolutionary change. I think we get temporary relief, right? So I guess when y'all saw the George Floyd video, in that moment, you all felt compelled to do something. And then eventually you stopped giving a fuck. And then we got back on with the bullshit. And now we don't have Black History Month being acknowledged in companies. There's no budget for you all to fund programming and food and resources to acknowledge Black people, even for one time a year. There's no money anymore to do DEI stuff. I mean, like, you all went back to your shit. The same people that 6 years ago was so hell-bent on letting people know that they're an anti-racist institution, now the same people that reneged the name of Trump. So you all don't have a backbone. You only will do it when you're bullied to do it, when you're scared to do it, when you feel guilty of doing it. And so therefore, I have just found ways to avoid the codependence on white guilt to keep me relevant and keep me successful. Some people have thrived off of white guilt dollars to keep themselves relevant, and now that's why they can't get booked anywhere. That is why they can't get certain opportunities, because their opportunities only came from white guilt dollars. And it was a lot of money. And many of them got into penthouses and got six-figure opportunities, and I couldn't get that money because I wasn't willing to step and fetch it for those white people in the same way that they did. And these are some of your favorite poets and some of your favorite social justice warriors. I ain't gonna name all their names. Some of them weren't even Black, like Shaun King, right? So you got people like Shaun King that was out here doing it, right? And y'all loved some Shaun King. Ooh, because he told you all the things you wanted to hear. And that guy who talked about how to be an anti-racist, remember that guy? All those books y'all read, y'all loved the fragility books. Y'all loved that shit. I couldn't, I didn't touch that kind of money. Because it wasn't who I was. Because the ones that are real, they're all right. They find a way to thrive. And the crazy part is, we didn't flop. See, we weren't ever super rich, but we was never broke because we recognized that community would sustain the real ones. And so people like myself, I've never been broke. No. Have I ever gotten the money that some of these other people have gotten? Oh, absolutely, I didn't get those deals. But see, now they're in a place where they got to GoFundMe. Baby, I've never created GoFundMe during my professional career. I never needed to GoFundMe in my journalism career. I've never needed to GoFundMe to do what I'm currently doing. I ain't never had to GoFundMe. I'm not judging those who got to do what they got to do, but I'm just saying that it's interesting to me that some of the same people that was out here getting on these national stages, getting these bookings and getting these speaking deals and getting all these things, they told people like me that I was too hard, that I wasn't going to go too far because I just didn't know how to play the game. But see, the thing about playing a game is a game has a winner and a loser. When you are standing on the right side of history, you always winning. So the fact that their mindset was that this was a game to be played told me I was in the wrong room with the wrong people. And these are Black people, okay? These are Black folks. They know who they are. So when y'all look at me and go, why are you not here? Why are you not with this person, collaborating with this person? Look what kind of work they do. And if you think me and them are doing the same thing, you need to look again. Not all of our kinfolk were our kinfolk in these conversations. I couldn't say that back then because I wasn't trying to be that Black person. I wasn't hating. I'm not an Amanda Sills. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to name it because she a little different too. She different. I don't operate from a space of bitterness. I'm not bitter at any of these people that did what they had to do. I just hope that they save their money and that they recognize not to push that type of bullshit again. And a lot of them aren't. A lot of them have waken up to the reality that appeasing white people and try to codify them in this type of conversation is not going to get them the results that they think. I knew that already because I just read history books, and I recognized that history was going to be my teacher in that regard. I recognized that very early in my career. However, that's not everybody's story. That's not everybody's experience. And I also had to get real with that. And I think, you know, that's important to know. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important. You know, I think people need to understand that, because at this point, trying to find common ground with neo-Nazis, mega folks, all those type of people, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not. And I think sometimes we get into this trap where we consistently feel like we got to shrinken ourselves and reduce ourselves and say stuff soft and say stuff a certain way. And that's not working. That's not working because they're only getting bigger and badder. And look what happened. He got reelected. I thought these white people that we were educating and doing these sit-ins with and all this shit y'all was doing, I thought these white people were going to, be allies and accomplices. What did they accomplish? Not a damn thing. They got scared too. And they still expecting black people to do the work. Here's the thing. I'm going to do the work for my community. And if that inspires other people to be informed and to amplify and do the work, kudos to you. But I'm not in a space where I'm going to prioritize white people in my work. And they haven't. You know, Toni Morrison, one thing I loved about her work was that she wrote based on the experiences that she had. And I think some of the writers of our current era are still in this mindset that they have to explain something to white people. I see a lot of black writers do that. I'm not going to go into names because I think that's not important. I think what's important to know is that whomever you are, whether you're a black writer, a black educator, a black business person, entrepreneur, whomever, black, physician, a black engineer, whomever, I want you all to stop centering whiteness in the ways that you conduct business. This is not to say that you don't recognize that white people and the way in which they operate exist. We do live in a white-led capitalistic society in America, clearly. I think we need to understand something. Centering, prioritizing is not the same as acknowledging and strategizing. I am, as a black person, navigating and strategizing a way to thrive in a sea of whiteness. Understand what that means. What that means is, how do I show up as my most authentic black queer self in a society that hates my blackness and my queerness? How do I do that where I can remain safe, healthy, confident, well, and effective? That is what I do. How do I navigate myself in those systems? How do I strategize? Is how I operate. That is my mindset. Okay? That is not the same as being a black person and placating and pandering to white people in a way that does not allow you to show up as your most authentic, well, thriving black self. Quote unquote, playing the game, that's not strategy. That's something else. That's prioritizing whiteness. Adhering to respectability politics that does not actually endanger you in real time, that's different, right? So, for example, how I talk in my personal space, how I show up on my social media platform, how I move in my everyday life as a Black person, when my life is not directly under attack, I'm not playing these games. Now, if I'm in a situation where there is a police officer and I am single-handedly by myself, and I'm in a situation where I am unarmed and I'm dealing with law enforcement, the way in which I interact with a police officer in that type of setting where my life is in risk, I might move a little differently to make it to the next day. But I cannot tell you how many times I see Black people every day consistently playing the quote unquote game when there's no gun to their head, when their life is not in jeopardy, and there is no immediate threat in that moment. And I say to myself, in those experiences and those encounters, why? Even in your creativity, I hear too many people say things like, they this, they that, they this, they that. When you're in shackles, right? When you're so busy worried about how white people are going to respond and react to something you do. To be freed from that. And so many of you are not. And it's sad. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to talk and walk the same way that I do, but God damn it, can you stand up and have some ability to not think about them every single day of your life? How you dress, how you talk, what you listen to. Can you just reimagine dynamics where you're not so busy thinking about what white people think about you? The white gaze is what we call it. The G-A-Z-E, not the G-A-Y-S. But if you're in queer community, the white gaze and the white gaze, child, because they are all up in our face. But can you just imagine situations where you're doing something and you're not thinking about what white people have to say about it? Can you just try that exercise in your everyday setting? Because that decolonialization will change the way we advance. We can't do that if every time you do something. And this is in other forms too. Queer people, can you imagine a world where you're not doing something and thinking about what straight people got to say or how they're going to react? I can't tell you how much I am doing that. Like, when you all see how I dress, how I express myself online, how I talk about myself, how I express my sexuality in the different ways that I do. And I'm not saying everyone shows up the same way in queer spaces, but I'm just saying that I have gotten to a point where I just don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that much. Oh yeah, I gotta be a functional adult. Yeah, I gotta pay bills. I gotta do, I gotta do some things, right? But I am not giving up all of my damn self to these systems. If I want to wear pink, if I want to wear mesh, if I want to wear see-through, if I want to get my nails done, if I want to get my eyebrows snatched, if I want to twerk, if I want to lay down and get massages, if I want to get facials, if I want to wear lip gloss from, if that's what I want to do, that's what the fuck I want to do. If I want to say my man, if I want to say my man, my husband, and I say partner, the fuck? Like, if I want to do that, if I want to go, like, I just want to do what the fuck I want to do. And I don't care whether they like it or don't like it. I don't care if they think it's cute or don't. I don't seek their approval. I don't. Because they'll find something else to be mad about. I see how y'all do people that's in the closet. Like, seriously, I've noticed this trend of that even people that are trying so hard to not have straight people out them or know about their sexuality because they want to fit in. The straights specifically, are so hell-bent on wanting to know what their sexuality is, even though they're doing everything in their power to conform to your rigid-ass standards. And yet you're still obsessed. And then you all go run to y'all gay friends and ask y'all gay friends, is the straight person or the person that you think is closeted gay? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things where the conformity of society has no interest in it. I mean, even the reality of Bad Bunny, right? Like, for all this talk about Bad Bunny, I'm just sitting here looking like, but y'all say y'all care. You all are listening to the music. Somebody listen to it. That man is a global phenom. And yet, yeah. But I say all to say that the Epstein files, Trump, conformity, racism, y'all not about to be in my way. I'm not about to play these games. Fuck ICE, abolish ICE. Black people can't be racist because racism is a construct of the oppressor to the oppressed. Oppressed people cannot be the oppressor of said virtue that oppresses them in that same way. Read Race Matters by Dr. Cornel West. He needs to pay his child support. It's Black History Year era. The month is fine, but it's also the year and the era. Shout out to George Washington Carver. I mean, like, what else can I say? Like, we're here and we're not going anywhere. Now, speaking of ICE and their bullshit, apparently ICE agents are upset because apparently they're supposed to have gotten a $50,000 bonus, sign-on bonus, and some health benefits, and apparently they have not gotten it. It's been reported that in spite of the fact that they, for many, many months, have been out here, tearing families apart, ruining people's lives, doing some illegal-ass shit, and basically acting like the modern-day Gestapo, they're mad because they were doing that because they thought they were going to get some serious money and some bread. And that bread has not come in, neither has the benefits come in, because the same oppressor that is oppressing us, the people, is oppressing their own officers. Could you imagine that? Now, to Democrats. Democrats, always in disarray. Can't ever be unified on anything. Listen, this situation, there's a group of people that are out here playing into these games, these politics, and I can't even put it into words what's going on. I can't. I really can't. I can't put into words some of the things that I have seen, and it's just baffling to me because we see so many people that are really entertaining a lot of the optics that isn't helping any of us. The optics around reform. Chuck Schumer went to the Human Rights Campaign's dinner they had, the HRC dinner, which HRC is just, don't get me started. Now, they gave a standing ovation to, Don Lemon. Don Lemon is on his, he's on his train right now. He's in his area. He's in his bag. In a good way, not negative. No shade to him at all. He's doing his thing, But Chuck Schumer was there, Senator Chuck Schumer. I guess Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who hopefully, is no longer going to be the minority leader when this is all said and done. But he's still preaching reform, like as if the police reform is... His narrative has been that, ICE, he's not talking about abolishing ICE, but reforming ICE, that we should reform ICE. Okay. Reform. You think there's a way to reform this system? ICE, like Proud Boys. How do you reform the Proud Boys? A hate group. They're a hate group. How do you reform a hate group? Like, it's already enough that the police got their problems, but you think you're going to reform a group of thugs that literally is their intention is to disavow? You cannot, like, the Trump administration has put their people in there. They're not being reformed. There's no way for them to do this lawfully. As long as there's a Trump administration, ICE and laws and policies and respect is obsolete. But nonetheless, this man wants to do that. So, here we are with the Democrats in disarray. Now there is tension in Texas. This primary that's coming up, y'all, I don't know there's so much going on here. Jasmine Crockett, James Tallarico, the Democrats are fighting. They're fighting. And listen, it's a primary, so there should be a fight. You know what I'm saying? It's time. We got to get to that point. We got to have that conversation. It's time. There's too many people not having the real conversations, and I need people to be clear. So, yeah. Now let me break this down. What's happening with them? There's been a lot of talk about the campaigns. So Jasmine Crockett has put out a campaign website that details her issues page. Her issues page was under scrutiny earlier this past week because there was no actual context. There was no information that allowed people to know exactly what was her issues, what was she standing for. It was hard, it was hard to gauge what she was about, and people had some complaints. Now, I noticed it because when she first announced her candidacy, I went on the page and didn't really see much on there. And it had me trying to figure out, is this real? Is this a real thing? She added this issues page just 24 days before the election, and there's already some typos, noble typos. She says she's going to be boosting opioid substance abuse. But it was boosting opioid substance abuse and chemical dependency treatment and recovery centers. I don't know why it was colored in that way for the boosting opioid substance abuse, because I would have probably hide all of that. There's also something around requiring all major insurance providers to provide full mental health care coverage, providing student debt relief incentives, and then securing federal dollars for school districts. Someone said, the placeholder text write out your bullet points here still was visible under the mental health section that made it go viral. There was some typography there that said, write out your bullet points here. Anything from a sentence to a paragraph works. In the section for the site, it was still visible. There's some concerns. I'm only going to say this on the podcast because I know how the stands will get. And, I don't live in Texas. Family do live in Texas, so they're going to vote. Okay, I'm going to say this. It might be an unpopular opinion. But this is why we have Ernestly speaking, because I get to say some things that I'm not saying I can't say everywhere else, but I just feel more candid. I feel like this is a more intimate space for me to say it. And if it goes around, it goes around. But I get a space to at least break it down more than I could in a post. I just don't really think Jasmine Crockett is serious about this race. There are just a lot of issues in our campaign. I'm not even focused on James Tallarico. I'm not playing into that rhetoric. I don't trust a lot of these content creators that are out here, pushing a lot of this. They're annoying. They're so predictable. Where are the journalists? Where are the journalists at? You know what I mean? That's why people like me matter. I don't have to say that, but I just feel like it just needs to be said right here. Right? Because if you catch up with a lot of the social media influencers and content creators, they are really the one. They remind me of. Ooh, I'm going there. Let me just speak on it. I gotta say it. But they remind me of what happened in 2020 around Elizabeth Warren. I know there were some people that did like Elizabeth Warren. They did. But I will never forget the very small but influential niche group of Black political social justice group that really was heavy on social media, heavy online, had these massive digital campaigns that really would have had you thinking that there was going to be this groundswell support for Elizabeth Warren in the Democratic presidential primary. Now, this was in 2020. You would have thought that the way that they were on social media, that there was this momentum for Elizabeth Warren. You know, I think it was 100 Black women for Warren, and listen, these women are great. Like the women, like I know some of them, they're great people. I'm not taking anything away from them as individuals because they do great work. But I think the way that some people interpreted their work was that they thought that that was a reflection of this larger, massive movement for Elizabeth Warren that did not exist. At the end of the day, the candidate has to do the work. The candidate has to do that work. As many of their individual groups might like them, have their own personal agendas, which I understood what the agenda was, because a lot of people did not want to see Biden in 2020, right? They didn't want to see Biden get the nomination. I did not vote for Biden in 2020 during the primary. I did vote for him in the general. Of course I did. I didn't vote for Trump. Let's be for real. But during the primary, I voted for Bernie Sanders. I did. And I understand that Bernie had his issues. Trust me, as I begin to write the chapter on Bernie Bros right now for my book, I'm being reminded of the flaws of the Bernie campaign. However, I felt like he was, you know, my favorite person actually was Julian Castro, but he didn't even make it to the ballot. So he wasn't even on the ballot, child. Like, but that was my favorite person. Like if I could have picked anybody out of all the candidates, my favorite person was Julian Castro, but he never made it to that point. And I think I talked about that in the beginning of my podcast when Biden was running and it was the all that going on. I think I talked about that initially. But at the time, what was left for me, it was Bernie Sanders. I think he was the one who, I remember him in 2016, was not extremely fond of him back then because at that point, I mean, it was like over 10 years ago. My politics was very different. I mean, listen, the way I thought about Democrats before Trump changed after Trump. I'm going to keep it 100. I have become more of a progressive voter after Trump got elected. Like my mindset was that the Democratic Party had lost its mind, had lost its way. I am a registered Democrat, but I was invested in voting for more progressive candidates at that point. If I could. Like primaries, I was not going to just go with the okie doke during a primary election anymore. I did that in 2016 because I thought that level of pragmatism, which I was to a certain degree right, but you know, who knows. But that level of pragmatism I thought was necessary to that the mainstream American voters were not going to vote for Bernie Sanders because I thought he was radical. I thought he was too extreme. That was what the narrative was. And so I thought Hillary was the more consensus. And so that's what I assumed. I mean, I kind of was slightly right. Hillary did get the popular vote, but she couldn't get the electoral vote. I still to this day wonder if Bernie Sanders would have been in that race against Trump in 2016, what would have happened. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like moderate Democrats would have gotten on the agenda with him. And that the white men that might have wanted something a little bit disruptive in Washington politics, they might have also gone with them too. I don't know. But it is a possibility that sometimes crossed my mind that maybe Bernie was the revolution at the time. Now, by 2020, I did vote for him because I felt like he was the only person that had a shot against Biden at that point in time. But Biden was also a different type of candidate compared to Hillary as well. He came from Obama. He was a man. And I think that, and I'm not saying these are things I voted for because clearly I didn't vote for him for the primary, and that was not why. But I know that when I was talking to people who did get behind Biden very early, I think their mindset was, we need to get a white man, an old white man that can go against Trump. And I was like, Bernie Sanders, like, let's have that face off. And they were like, nah, he's just not going to, he's going to be framed as being too progressive. And at that point in time, there was a lot of infighting in the Democratic Party around progressives. So there was some sentiment that they didn't want to go with Bernie because they didn't want to disrupt the entire political Democratic establishment. I was for it. That's why I voted for him, but he didn't get it. But back to the point. I remember that there was a lot of people acting like Elizabeth Warren had this momentous support that she just, quite frankly, did not have. And there was a lot of outside online voices and influencers and content creators that was hyping that up. They did it for Kamala Harris. K-Hive was born around that time. But specifically, I noticed it was a lot for Elizabeth Warren as well. And I just remember when the primary votes came out and she just was not hitting it, I was just kind of like, and even with black voters, I was like, where's that movement? So I'm thinking about Jasmine Crockett right now, and it kind of makes me feel that way slightly. I just feel like Jasmine is not putting her best foot forward in this campaign. Like, there's a lot of things she needs to do. Like, her platform needs to be more clear. Her issues. I mean, the fact that she's dropping this 24 days before the damn primary is very concerning. Like, you've already served in Congress. Your issue should have been there. You have more experience and visibility than James Tallarico. Why is your page? Why would your website? Why is your stuff not so clear and accessible to people? Like, what kind of campaign is this? It just seems to be a lot of fluff. And I'm not talking about the issues. Her issues are strong, okay? But just the conversation is just not there. And honestly, I'm tired of these tired ass fucking think tank pushed fucking outside money driven ass Democratic motherfucking influencers that get on here yelling and screaming up and down the timeline, trying to act like anybody who's critical of Jasmine Crockett is a sexist and a racist. And shut the fuck up. Stop it. Because while I will never say that she's not qualified, because she is, I am going to say that this is not a winning campaign based on missed calls. If you think that it's strategic or smart for a candidate running for the U.S. Senate to just finally update an issues page on their website with, mind you, with typos and errors that are seen on it, this just feels like an unserious campaign. First of all, she gets in the race super late. But, okay, sure. Had to clear out the race. Some people had to switch seats and things. Okay, you cleared it out. But then you come in and it's just not hot. Like, there's a lot of personality driven here. She has lots of personality. She's got a lot of passion. But at the end of the day, a senator's still got to get shit done. A senator's got to be clear on their platform and what their issues are. To not have that, to not be clear on that on a campaign website alone, just makes me feel like this is just an unserious ass campaign. So here's what I kind of predict or forecast. I don't think she's going to win this primary. And I think what's going to happen, I want to be wrong. I would like to be, I would like to see her. If she said, I would like to see history be made. Let me be very clear. But based on what I'm seeing right now, I don't think she's going to win unless there is some major transformation. And there's a lot of talk about James Tallarico trying to paint him as a racist, trying to suggest that he's this and that. Man, can y'all stop? Because here's the thing. This is not going to disqualify him from from running. These tactics that are only being like largely covered by social media content creators. Like they're the ones making a fuss of these little minute things. Like these are not the type of things that's being discussed in the major press. Like they're not like there's a lot of stuff that I feel like is internet drama that's trying to be amplified, and it's just not working. Like the man has said he's not running campaign ads against Jasmine Crockett himself. He's not attacking her. His campaign is not. Now there is a super PAC that is running negative ads against her, right? They are, right? And one could argue that, he's responsible, but he's not, because you all know that candidates in their PACs are not supposed to coordinate with each other. So there is a PAC that wants him to win, and they're doing the fighting for him. But he himself, as a candidate, has been very clear that, he has respect and love for Jasmine Crockett. He's not going to do that. Let me be very clear. If Jasmine Crockett had a PAC that was backing her, I mean, would she not do it? Would she not do it at this point? It's a competitive fucking race. I mean, at some point, everybody can't la with each other. But I will say that so far, James has publicly not been invested in dissing her. He's kept it clean and respectful. Why is it that the influencers and the content creators that are heavily pushing her, right? They're attacking him. They're throwing shots at him. They're consistently, trying to make him responsible for shit he ain't fucking did himself. Like, come the fuck on. This is fucking politics. And no one should be carrying Jasmine Crockett with gloves, because she swings too. Everybody should swing. Let her swing and let her get swung at. Let the politics play the way they're going to play. That's just how I feel. I think that one thing I can't stand about this current state of politics is that we're babifying elected officials. We're babifying black politicians. No, fucking no. Because if I do that, I would be sexist. I would be misogynist. I would be participating in misogynoir. If I said, as a journalist, I cannot critique Jasmine Crockett's campaign because she is a black woman, and I cannot do that because she's a black woman. Like, no, I cannot, because to do that to her would make me, she can't be. I can't find any fault with her. I can't, because she's a black woman. No, I cannot say anything. I cannot be a journalist and find fair critique about her because she's a black woman. No. I cannot mention anything about the typos in her stuff. No, I can only critique and find faults and errors with her opponent, James Tarico. I can only talk about his bland approach, his lack of experience, but I cannot talk about the lack of preparation of her campaign. No, I cannot do that. No, fuck that. I'm a journalist. I'm doing both. Both of them getting at work. James Tallarico, listen, even if you're not going to do the smear, you got to acknowledge what's happening. The infantilization of black women, it has to stop. It has to stop. It takes away their agency. It stops them from being held accountable. And that's why we get these people in city council that don't do shit. Because we done set up here and we done babied them. Y'all wonder why the mayor of Philadelphia is not doing a good job? Because y'all done sat there and y'all done already created an alibi for her. Anybody who says anything about her is now going to be painted as misogynistic and sexist. She can fuck over unions. She can fuck over working day people. She can be silent on issues that matter. And guess what? She's got her new alibi because we done already gave it to her. Okay? You got to think about it. We've allowed identity politics to be used in ways to not only protect people, but to infantilize them. So we're infantilizing elected officials. I'm not going to do it as a journalist. You can do it if you want to. You can fuck around and you can find out. But people are suffering. And if Jasmine Crockett really wants to win this Senate race, she's got to come harder. Who's going to give her the feedback if it's not other black people? If black people can't get our black people together, who the fuck can? Because if the white person do it, you're going to call them racist. And now if I do it, I'm supposed to be what? A Debbie Downer? Mr. Negative? So nobody gets critique. Nobody gets to be told to be better. Or no one gets to be told how to improve on something. Shit. I would be a sucky ass fucking writer if I took y'all advice. I have been edited by black editors, white editors, and let me tell you a true story. I'm gonna put y'all some game about getting feedback. When I first started Philadelphia Magazine, that was 10 years ago, in January of 2016, one of the editors there, who was a good friend of mine, we are besties, we are really cool. When I first started, I was writing some articles, doing my thing. I noticed that I wasn't really getting that much feedback. Like when I would go to newsrooms, I would hear white writers, they would get notes, baby, notes. Okay, all types of notes. Now, some of them needed them notes because they shit was just trash. But they would just get a bunch of different notes and things. And let me be clear about notes. Sometimes the notes isn't telling you what you're doing wrong. Sometimes notes is what you can do better or to emphasize more of. I wasn't getting that many notes. Everything would just be like, oh, it's good, we like it. And I was like, you sure? Like, wait a minute, y'all. I'm 24 years old. I'm in one of the most prestigious white-owned magazine companies in the region. Philadelphia Magazine is one of the most prestigious regional magazines in the country. And I'm not getting that many notes. I'm just sitting there looking like, I mean, look, I know my stuff hit, but like, I don't know. So then I started to get word from somebody that was like, well, we don't want to come aggressive. We don't want to feel like, you're being singled out. And I took my editor in a room privately. I said, please do not baby me. Please do not treat me. To baby me is to treat me like I'm not worthy. I want you to critique me and challenge me like you do these white writers. I want you to treat me like the professional you are. I want the utmost service. Don't be baby with me. Okay? Don't baby me because I won't get good. I want the national awards. I want to get published in Rolling Stone magazine. I remember I told him the things I wanted. I said, I want to be that fucking good. And I will not be that good if you just simply give me a thumbs up. I know my shit can be better. What do I need? And he said, understood. He didn't disagree with me. He didn't argue with me. He said, understood. The next time I wrote an article for him, baby, he chopped me the fuck up. But guess what? Pressure makes diamonds. And the more and more I wrote, the better my writing got. And that is why I'm on my second book deal. And I can write a whole book by my fucking self. We're not going to get better as a people if we don't do it. When my students, I don't accept mediocrity out of my students. I don't. I don't go, oh, you came from some background. I did too. And that doesn't mean I'm hard on them. It's just that I am going to be honest with them in a way that helps them. And I think we don't do that enough as the people. We are taxpayers. Shit, y'all are paying for this. This is the service y'all want. Y'all are paying. Why would I babysit a damn elected official whose salary comes off my fucking pay? Are you kidding me? Like, wake up. What is this? Like, what is this shit? Like, y'all over here, oh, we can't be too. What the fuck? It annoys me. Some of these people who listen to my radio show, they'll be, you're such a Debbie Downer. Give the mayor a break. A break? What break? She ain't giving us a break with these damn PPA tickets and shit. All these damn tickets and these speed limits and this snow. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. I just feel like we done missed the point of all this. The goal was to avoid ad hominem attacks. The goal was to not target people based on their identity. The goal was to not give unfair critiques. The goal was to not move the goalpost on people. That was what we meant. We didn't mean to be silent. Shit. Like, I'm not saying, oh, Jasmine Crockett gotta be blah, blah, blah. Don't talk like this. Wear your hair like... I'm not talking like that. No. I'm not critiquing. Jasmine Crockett can use whatever slang she wants. She could be herself. I love that about her. I'm not that person, okay? I know there's some people, I think she needs to be... No. I'm not telling Jasmine Crockett not to be herself. I'm just saying, I think Jasmine Crockett can sharpen and strengthen the way in which she's messaging her stuff to the people. Like, I should be able to go on a website and be able to see your issues and see how you're addressing them. I think you need to be timely. I just know that she's done better. Her congressional race was a lot more tighter than this. I know what she can do because I've seen her do it. I feel like the energy that she brought to her congressional race is not the same that she's bringing to the Senate primary. And I feel like if this is going to be a higher seat and the stakes are higher, bring the heat and bring it not just only in the rhetoric, but in the work. And I feel like it's wagging a little bit. And James Tallarico, to be clear, I think when I heard that they were like neck and neck in the primaries, I saw that as a negative for Jasmine. Jasmine Crockett should be ahead of him based on her own name recognition. And we cannot just act like race is the only thing playing a role in this. Texas is a state that had a woman Democrat as governor. Jasmine Crockett is not the first Black woman to be a congresswoman in Texas. We've had Barbara Jordan. We've had this. We've had this. And I think sometimes we've had Ann Richards. She's a white woman. We've had Mayor Anise Parker, a lesbian, be the mayor of Houston. She was like, come on. We've had history makers, regardless of sexual orientation, gender, race. We've had trailblazers in Texas before Jasmine Crockett. So we're not going to act like it's impossible. But see, this is what happens when people are talking about places they're not from. I grew up in Houston. I grew up in Texas. I know the area that Jasmine Crockett represents. My family lives over there. I know what can be done. We have done a lot in Texas ahead of Pennsylvania in some parts. So when I hear people talk on the north, these East Coasters who don't live around there, that's all up in DC and New York and Philly and all this shit, that want to weigh in, you don't know anything about Texas. Don't mess with Texas, but you don't know anything about it. And the way that you all try to compare it to what's going on in your little areas, stop it. Stop. It's just such a different situation. Jasmine Crockett can win that nomination if she gives a fuck. She can. But I feel like what I'm seeing so far, there's a strong chance that she probably will not. And when she don't, we will talk about it on this podcast, and I will tell you, remember what I'm saying right now. We still got 24 days left. Anything can happen. But what I am seeing right now, it's not looking good. And we're not going to blame it on racism solely. We're not going to blame it on sexism solely. She's got to take some accountability. But she's got, 3.5 weeks to change it around, but she got to do so fast. And that's that. Now, there are some media changes happening. Washington Post has a bloodbath. 100 of their reporters got laid off. A third of their workforce. It's not looking good at all. Lots of people have been just out here, just without jobs. We knew this was coming. We didn't know how crazy it was going to be, but it is crazy. A lot of, this is Jeff Bezos. This is him. The publisher done resigned following this. It's gotten really, really bleak. Very, very bleak. And at this point, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. You cannot continue to act like we don't know why things are the way they are. Jeff Bezos got a $500 million yacht. He done spent $40 million on the rights of that horrible flop-ass film, Melania. Spent $35 million marketing the flop, one of the lowest rated movies of all time. But laid off reporters in the middle of a war zone. Laid off all of the Middle East correspondents and editors. And the sports department, none. He done cut that too. Reporters and editors in India and Australia, all laid off. Book coverage, done. So there's no more book reviews. More than 300 people have been laid off. No presidential endorsements. The median salary of a Washington Post employee in the Post newspaper Guild $99,904. So close to $100,000 is the medium salary. That's done. Even though the cost of his wife's dress, Lauren Sanchez's wedding dress, $300,000. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. That's the state of journalism right now. It's a bloodbath. It's just, and then y'all wonder why I don't want to be involved. You know what I'm saying? This is why I don't want to be involved. This is why I'm not involved. This is why y'all don't see me playing out here with these people. I can't, I won't. I can't and I won't. Right? If you have not unsubscribed from the Washington Post, go ahead and unsubscribe for me, baby. I need y'all to log off. I need y'all to unsubscribe. I just, it's, they talk about darkness in the dark. It's officially in the dark. Washington Post is in the dark. Stop letting billionaires buy these media companies. People thought he was going to save journalism. Child, please. He's barely saving Amazon. Amazon about to have some layoffs. I mean, it's just not good. It's not good at all. And it's sad to watch. I don't have much to say about the Samantha Guthrie situation. Her mother is missing. As of the time of the recording of this podcast, we think she's still alive. We don't have any major updates. There is a ransom. There's been videos. It's been tough to watch. Yeah. It's a lot to watch. Shout out to her coworkers who are stepping up and being very public about how they do not want, they're not showing up to the Winter Olympics. The Winter Olympics is taking place. I could even tell you about the Winter Olympics. I haven't watched much of it. I mean, I did see Mariah Carey lip sync. I'm sorry. But yeah, she's going to do it, didn't she? Snoop Dogg is Snoop Dogging, I suppose. I haven't really been following it. You know, I've been inundated with everything else going on that I haven't really followed the Winter Olympics. I just feel like even representing the U.S. right now with all this shit going on, it's like, who wants to represent the U.S.? Anyway, yeah, that's my, that's what I got there. I also want to take some time before I get into local politics and local issues and all that. But this kind of goes side by side with this. Something I shared that's been getting traction on my social media, and I want to talk about this here. I got some traction on my page because I talked about this on my Instagram on Sunday. But there is a growing trend in Philadelphia of local elected officials entertaining these interviews with content creators from Turning Point USA. Now, this is the far-right conservative group co-founded by the late Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, these are the same Democrats, some of these Democrats, right, who are ducking and dodging interviews from Black journalists. I need people to knock this off. Do not make this a thing. And I want you to know that every time I see this shit, expect to be called out. Now, Turning Point USA is apparently dropping a lot of money in Philly. They're trying to misinform Black voters and communities for the upcoming midterm elections. Now, I'm going to tell y'all some information, put y'all on some game about this, because this has been a trend. Now, what prompted me to talk about this was that I saw that video. This was with council member Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones is, in West Philly, my backyard. He had an Instagram video and social media video where he did an interview with a man named Frank Scales of Surge Philly. Now, let me tell y'all who Frank Scales is. He is with a group called Surge Media. Surge Media, by the way, is this media-based group that is in the same bed with Turning Point USA. This group they're calling themselves Shifting the Narrative and Setting the Agenda. But this is a far-right agenda. They are basically going out and antagonizing liberals and progressives in Philadelphia. And it's very interesting because if you look at the content, which I don't encourage you to follow it, even though I've noticed some interesting people following that page, but they are basically going out and they're, pretending to be journalists. I don't really know where their journalism background is. They're very far right slanted. I mean, it's almost like a very, very right wing slanted media. A lot of their stuff that they're doing, they're interviewing people and asking them all types of questions. And they're talking to certain people that's pushing very far right propaganda. They're basically rage baiting. A lot of their content is rage baiting. They're going up to people, interviewing the most extreme radical progressives, and basically framing them as being unhinged. They're also antagonizing certain people who are calling them fascists, because in many ways they appear to be. They're aligned with these type of far right groups. They're going into the faces and spaces, disrupting protests, agitating these protesters who are especially against ICE, and pretty much trying to videotape themselves being assaulted and playing victims. But they're putting themselves in environments where they want this level of attention. And so this is some of the narratives that they're doing, and they're mocking the protesters and trolling, and they're using it as a way to spike it. The type of commenters are pushing racism. They're pushing all types of attacks, and even the page is also mocking elected officials. They're engaging with very strong conservative people who are pushing conspiracy theories, and yeah, it's very telling. Like, they're mocking AOC. They're doing videos of them, doing protests, but they're purposely there to agitate, and even certain people that they're doing so. So, for example, there's a guy who they videotaped at city council. There was a man this black man who wore a mega hat on, and they're framing him as saying, "Oh, this protester." There's this protester that was being silenced or whatever while he was being censored while giving public comment. And he was criticizing Kendra Brooks and Jamie Gautier, for posting pictures of Renee Good. And then they're using words like illegal immigrants committed to violence against American citizens. They're pushing a lot of this propaganda, right? That's far right. So I looked at the person that they shared this to that was claiming to be this protester that was going there. And I found out, oh, wait, hold on. This person that they're talking about is actually somebody who is a candidate that's trying to run for Republican chairman of the GOP. He's black. His name is Alante McAuley. Okay. And he is somebody that he is trying to run for Republican GOP chairman. And he's this quote unquote protester, black mega protester that showed up, right? But he's not. He's actually a candidate. And he's actually running this page, or he's a part of this page called Flip Philly Red. They're on Facebook, Flip Philly Red. And they've been going on different platforms like Dom Giordano on 1210 WPHT Talk Radio. And they're going on these very conservative slant groups, pushing their rhetoric, trying to push very pro-ICE rhetoric. They're pushing other legislation. But Flip Philly Red is the page. And this guy's name is John Alante McAuley. He's been going to city council sessions, speaking on public testimony, and pushing a lot of this pro-mega, pro-ICE rhetoric. Serge Philly interviewed him as if he was an everyday Philadelphian. But this is what they're doing. They're going to go out to city council every week, speaking on public record. They're using any pick-me to do it. And the C. Curtis Jones doing an interview with this guy from Serge Philly. To do this, act like, you're having this civil discourse, is foolish. It's absolutely foolish. And at this point, I have pulled the mask on who these people are, what they're about, what they're doing. And they're not journalists. They're not members of the legitimate, credible, free press. They are coming from a very politically slant agenda. They don't actually have a publication or a radio station, for what I know. They're pushing content. This is glorified content creation. They're not journalists. They do not have press badges and passes. Their access to come to the city is to create disruption. They're not a credible news outlet or source. Okay? They're pushing propaganda. And this is what I told you all was going to fucking happen if we continue to try to legitimize content creators. Because the Democrats have been trying to do it, right, in Philadelphia. And I told you all that now it's going to be a situation where if you're trying to act like content creators, right, or journalists or media people, then you're going to have to play in the same ballpark with content creators like you do journalists, right? Where it's one thing to be a credible news source and outlet where you are pushing information that's factual, you have the ethics code, right? But content creators becomes a whole new ball game, because then how do you treat them? So do not put me in a room with Surge Philly, okay? Don't put me in a room with none of these content creators. I don't give a fuck what slant they're on, because this is the shit that will happen. Because I don't want to be in a space where they provoke a fight and then my ass is getting locked up, or I'm getting injured, because they're chaos agents. So respectfully, politicians in this city, keep them the fuck away from whatever the fuck journalists are doing. Because their agenda and what they're trying to do is not the same as what and somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Because then it's going to be hard for journalists to go out there and do their jobs. Because if there's a lack of trust where people are going out thinking they got a mic and they're doing something and you're legitimizing them. Curtis Jones, by you sitting there as an elected official, letting that motherfucker come into your office and you sit there and you do an interview with him, you've now legitimized them. Now they feel like if one do it, another person can. Well, I'm telling the rest of you all, don't. Because if you can barely answer my requests for interviews, but I see your ass giving an interview to far-right content creators, it's a problem. So this is not about hearing people on both sides having dialogue. They don't want the dialogue. They want your platform to spew their hate, to spew their misinformation. Starve them. Stop giving it to them. If you notice that far-right media companies, a lot of those individuals barely want to bring, different voices there. Now, journalists are different. But do y'all notice that they don't like to bring, those people on their platforms? Did y'all peep that? Because let me tell you something that's funny. Let me tell you what's really funny about this, right? Is that when I go on Surge Philly's page, they did not promote that interview that Curtis Jones did with them. Did y'all peep that? Did y'all notice that while Curtis Jones was sitting up there doing that interview with them, did you notice that they didn't share that video, that interview? All they share on their page is the most disgruntled anti-Democratic Party, ICE type of language. They literally said anti-ICE Gestapo. They're calling the must watch. Anti-ICE Gestapo tries to keep journalists out of protests. What journalist would publish something like that? Like, what actual journalist will promote something like that? I want to know. What actual journalist would promote and compare anti-ICE protests to the Gestapo on their actual page? Y'all better stay woke. Y'all better stay woke. Y'all better stay woke. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, moving along to what's happening right now with a lot of this talk with local politics, right? Pay attention to the fact that Trump has put over $80 million into a new Burke detention center for undocumented citizens or individuals, undocumented individuals. Over $80 million is going to a new detention center for ICE in Pennsylvania. Okay, now this is after news that 700 ICE agents or whatever have now left or is beginning to pull out of Minneapolis. Now where are they going? Where are they going now? Oh, they're about to come to Pennsylvania. The fight's coming to Pennsylvania, y'all. They're already here, but they're about to be here. Okay, they're coming. They're coming. This is not a drill. They're coming their asses over to Pennsylvania. Because I got to tell y'all, anybody who's going to build a facility with that much money, that damn big, they're going to want to put bodies on those beds. Now, while there's been conversation of that, they cannot stop federal money from going there, and there are people in Berks County, of course, that likes the idea of them coming over there. The fact that all that's taking place, right? They're saying, oh, there's a zoning issue, they can't take it off, whatever. Listen, he could be like Governor Moore. Shapiro could be like Governor Moore, okay? Governor Wes Moore has been taking a very clear stance against this. And I don't want to hear the excuses, okay? I don't. I'm tired of every time something happens, we get told the limitations. Governor Wes Moore has pushed back on proposed ICE detention facility in Western Maryland, okay? Maryland officials are drawing a line. He's made it very clear that he has concerns about the Department of Homeland Security's plan to build an ICE detention center in Washington County. Okay? He's speaking out. He's directing state agency heads to assess all available actions to protect the community's infrastructure, public safety, health, and long-term economic stability. He is working very closely. This is what he's doing with the Office of the Attorney General, who's reviewing the purchase to ensure a full compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. Shapiro, where are you at with this Berks deal that's happening with this detention center? It is here. Over $80 million? Over $80 million. This is ridiculous. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, these are the things that keep me up. These are the things that are keeping me up right now. And we're not going to be able to just treat this like it's nothing. Okay? ICE has bought a whole warehouse in Berks County for $87 million. It is 64 acre warehouse. And right now the property, this was the deed, shows that ICE bought the property at 3501 Mountain Road in Upper Burn Township. Okay, it's the Upper Burn Township in Berks County. Okay, $87 million they purchased it for. I need to hear from the governor. Governor Shapiro, are you doing what Governor Wes Moore is doing in Maryland? Because while you're still getting invited to certain dinners, bipartisan dinners, as a white man, that black governor is not being allowed to, and he's fighting a stronger fight than what your ass has been doing on this issue. Okay, you've been talking against ICE. How? Are you calling for its abolition? No. Gotcha. Are you going to look into this with the AG? I know that, Dave Sunday is a Republican, but damn it, can you do some bipartisanship over here? Can you? Can something be done? Have you checked all tools of the tool shed? Please. Thank you. Just want to know. Further this, I want to address this elephant in the room. So this post that I made, where last week I addressed this issue out loud, first on this podcast exclusively, then I went viral about addressing it, which is where I talked about this true fact. For a few years, I've noticed that Governor Josh Shapiro has a pattern of considering more empathy and or consideration for white supremacists and the ilk while being completely divisive when condemning those who speak out against such harms. The latest controversy between him and DA Larry Krasner exposes a hypocrisy that's too hard to ignore. Let me break this completely down. So this was in reference to that Inquirer story, which I talked about last week, about Philly DA Larry Krasner says, don't be a wimp after Josh Shapiro decried his comparison of ICE agents to Nazis. Governor Josh Shapiro called District Larry Krasner, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer, Larry Krasner's comparison of ICE agents to Nazis abhorrent, quote. Krasner responded that Shapiro is not, quote, not meeting the moment. Now, Governor Shapiro says that it is abhorrent that Krasner compares ICE to Nazis. He even goes so far as to say that it's important to, quote, turn the temperature down in regards to the current political climate surrounding this issue. But he has a history of doing the opposite when it comes to protesters of color and marginalized groups. Now, I shared some examples of this. I shared about how Shapiro had condemned demonstrators in Pennsylvania who last year, this is previous year, chanting this is back in 2015 when they had chanted accusation of genocide outside of the Philadelphia falafel restaurant called Goldie. On that during that time, he described it as like 1930s Germany stuff. He's done that his own self, right? He also did the same thing. He did not turn that temperature down back in 2024 when he also said at the time that we have to query whether or not we would tolerate this if this were people dressed up in KKK outfits or KKK regalia. This is what Shapiro said when he chastised universities for failing to keep students safe when some protests led to anti-Semitic incidents, and expressed support of a Pennsylvania bill that would cut off state funding to universities that divest from Israel. Now, last year, Spotlight PA had reported that Shapiro barred state employees from engaging, quote, scandalous or disgraceful behavior, which had raised fear among pro-Palestinian and Muslim American groups, okay? Because they assumed that they would be unfairly published if they expressed opinions that differed from those of Shapiro. Now, even worse, there were concerns that he had made statements that some people consider Islamophobic and racist. In 1993, he had argued that, quote, peace will never come to the Middle East, and said that Palestinians were incapable of creating their own state, and described Palestinians as, quote unquote, being too battle-minded. He had wrote in this op-ed in 1993, quote, using history as precedent, peace between Arabs and Israelis is virtually impossible and will never come. He also wrote that, quote, Palestinians will not coexist peacefully. They do not have the capabilities to establish their own homeland and make it successful, even with the aid of Israel and the United States. They're too battle-minded to be able to establish a peaceful homeland of their own. It's a little racist, a little xenophobic, Islamophobic. You're going to just paint this picture that Arabs are battle-minded. Now, if I were to say this, swap out Arabs, say Jews, okay, and framed it like peace would never come to the Middle East, and if I argued that Jewish people, okay, were incapable of creating their own state, and I've described Israelis as being, quote unquote, too battle-minded, using the history as precedent, peace between Arabs and Israelis virtually impossible, will never come. Jews will not coexist peacefully. They do not have the capabilities. If I said that and I swapped out the words Palestinians with Jewish people, I would be accused of anti-Semitism, rightfully so. So what is the opposite of anti-Semitism in making such a reference to the other side, referring to Arabs and Muslims within the Middle East in this same context? It would be considered Islamophobic. It would be considered racist. Shapiro said that in 1993. Okay? And I will never forget that Shapiro went out his way to have his staff send a press release out to, quote unquote, honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk, a man who has a documented history of racism and promotion of white supremacy. The choice to encourage Pennsylvanians to celebrate this man was disturbing. And so I shared on my social media that press release by Governor Shapiro that ordered the U.S. Commonwealth flags to have staff in honor, quote unquote, of Charlie Kirk. He said today, this is what the press release said, today, in accordance with the United States Flag Code and the United States Proclamation, this was last year, Governor Josh Shapiro ordered the United States and Commonwealth flags on all Commonwealth facilities, public buildings, and grounds across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to fly at half-staff as a mark of respect for the memory of Charlie Kirk. The flag shall remain lowered until sunset on Sunday, September 14th, 2025. All Pennsylvanians are invited to participate in this tribute. Now, if that's not pandering to MAGA, I don't know what is. I understand, let me be very clear, that there was a federal request across the country to lower the flag. Got it. But inviting Pennsylvanians to celebrate this tribute, to respect, to honor the legacy, what we doing here? That's a lot of words. A lot of rhetoric. And Josh Shapiro knows better. He knows better. Okay? I never seen a teacher's pet more so to the alt-right and Democratic Party than this man right here. This is brown nosing. This is teacher pet behavior. This is pick me. And I see right through it. So I then concluded to say, because I wanted to take it there, because I feel like it needs to be noted. We cannot continue to keep acting like we don't know what happened. You know? It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not what's up. We need to be clear about what's going on here. Mm. 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 So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because I have seen this man show up in a certain type of way, and I'm tired of it. And I want to also be clear that I say all this to say that watching two white men have a semantics battle over who can compare which problematic group to which hateful group while others continue to be harmed as a major distraction embodies white privilege within itself. Shapiro seems more interested in being a pick-me to mega voters he's trying to win back rather than read the room. Hopefully one of his content creator friends can school him. And I said this. Now, a lot of y'all was wondering, did I hear back from them? And normally I don't. But I have to say that a day after that went viral, over 2,000 likes, hundreds of retweets, this went viral. This went very viral on social media. A lot of people were talking. I got a lot of messages about it. Over 2,000 people liked it. 100 people shared it and DM'd it. It was getting traction, okay? The comms director for Josh Shapiro's campaign reached out to me. They did not ask me to censor or take it down because they knew better. I mean, that's not happening. They did not ask me to do that. But they wanted to open up the door of communication, I guess. They wanted to open up the flows or channels of communication, so that if I had any questions, I can reach out to them. They wanted to just create dialogue and open conversation. Yeah, after excluding me for this entire time, left me off the press list. Remember all that shit, y'all? Remember all that? It wasn't like that was the first time I had called out the governor or the campaign, but yeah, now they've woken up. They've realized that, they might want to, answer the phone and whatnot. So, update, I've been on Shapiro's press list. I now get the press releases. I now guess I have a channel of communication, a working number, and if I need to reach out to the campaign, I guess they'll answer the phone or the text message or whatnot. Maybe schedule an interview with the governor. We'll see. We'll see. I didn't even know that I knew I was off the list, but I guess I got put back on. All of a sudden, people know where to find my email address. They found my number, y'all. They guess they already have my contact information. The fucking governor. Let's be fucking for real. But guess it hit a nerve. Guess when the receipts are receipting and the reporting is reporting and the facts are facting. Guess people wake up and realize, oh, he knows his shit. Oh, there's something here. Oh, we need to actually talk to journalists because the content creators can't cover their ass on this because nobody's going to be able to cover their ass on the facts. Shapiro, you in trouble, baby. You in danger, baby. What Whoopi Goldberg said in Ghost. He's going to have some real conversations. I think he's been ducking and dodging for a period of time, trying to avoid these types of discourses. But you're going to have it with somebody. Have it with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's do an interview. You scared? You can't be scared. See what I mean? Like, they'll sit up here and they'll talk to these far-right people. Gavin Newsom's doing podcasts with all these mega people and all this shit. Shapiro, come have a conversation with me. You're more than welcome to come on Ernestly Speaking. Let's have a real interview. Let's have a real conversation. The park administration, they're afraid of me because I won't kiss their ass. We know that interview's not happening at this point. She's too scared, child. She just want people to kiss her ass. If you're not kissing her ass, you're not getting an interview, child. That's just what it is. It is what it is. I don't want to hear anybody tell me anything else. Everybody got all this talk. The mayor is more than welcome to come on any program that I do, but she's not. I doubt it. We still ain't heard a policy from the administration on journalists. It was supposed to be a policy. It came by December. We now about to be midway into February, and we still ain't heard anything. Meanwhile, all this shit is going on in the country, in the world. I mean, and just accept what y'all expect. That's all I gotta say. Expect what y'all accept. I mean, if we continue to accept this and treat this like it's normal, it will be. It will be. So moving along. I had State Senator Sharif Street on my show on the record Ernest Owens. It was a great conversation. You know, we had a really good conversation. And we talked about the budget, which was good. You know, the first half we talked about the budget. So, you know, Shapiro's budget, you know, he is doing a lot. You know, he is renewing calls for marijuana legalization. He is calling for a tax on skill games. There wasn't much conversation in the state budget about SEPTA, you know, or data center development. We ain't really heard much about that data center development. Stay woke on that. But we didn't really hear much about SEPTA. You know, it just seemed like SEPTA got thrown under the bus. Senator Street basically alluded to the fact that if they could get the marijuana legislation passed, that apparently that money can go towards public transportation. But we got to get a bipartisan effort with the state Senate. Like, are they going to get to that point? I mean, Maryland's already doing it. Jersey's doing some things. Like, we're seeing other places. New York City's already on. Like, we're like, what are we doing in Pennsylvania? Like, nobody wants cannabis done? Like, nobody wants cannabis legalization? Then this conversation about the minimum wage. $15 an hour? We've been talking about $15 an hour for like 10 years. Can we put an index in to match that rate at the cost of living and adjust it? Because $15 in 2026 ain't the same $15 we was trying to advance and advocate for back in 2016. Can we all agree on that? I'm just saying. Like, I need to see an adjustment. So hopefully there's some type of livable adjustment based on that $15 an hour. Because I'm not, like, $15 an hour, just flat rate is just not doing it for me. I mean, I know it's a step, but it ain't that much of a step. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. Like, I just feel like we need to have that. We need to have that in Philly. We need something different. The current minimum wage right now in Philadelphia and throughout Pennsylvania remains at the state and federal rate of $7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour, y'all. $7.25 an hour. Which they're saying the tip wage remains significantly lower at $2.83 an hour. Pennsylvania law prohibits cities like Philly from setting a local minimum wage that is higher than the state minimum rate. So Philadelphia can't even do it. But we're supposed to be moving close to $15, which is double the current rate. You know, a bill that will increase it is what we're trying to hopefully see. But even 15 ain't even, I mean, y'all, we're going to see. We're going to see. But we've been stuck at $7.25 an hour, and it's because of the state. $7.25 an hour. I mean, can you imagine what that's going to do when they double it for people? My God. That's why Philadelphia continues to be one of the poorest major cities, because of shit like that. Like, shit like that will get people, like, could you imagine 15, like, what that's going to do for a lot of people? Like, you're pretty much doubling people's entire pay. Oh my goodness. That would be epic. But then there might be a situation where people might argue that restaurants and small business might have to shut down. Well, guess what? If you can't afford to provide jobs and opportunities for people and pay them a decent paying wage, then you need to go. Then you don't need to be running a business. Then you shouldn't have a business then. Just saying. Just saying. We also talked about, you know, the situation with his stances. Street did say he says he's very clear that he wants to abolish ICE. He does not support ICE at all. He finds them to be problematic. He spoke on the Obama's racism imagery that we saw. I think that's very important to note. And also, when it came to certain candidates, he definitely spoke up. He definitely addressed Dr. Ayla Stanford's concerns and comments. He addressed State Rep Morgan Cephas's comments about him. He addressed Chris Rabb's comments about him. All three, he addressed them single-handedly. He let it be known. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details because I want y'all to listen to the interview. The interview is fire. Let me just start off by saying the interview is fire. All right? But with Morgan Cephas questioning his legislative history, he talks about that he has done so many bills he signed and co-authored that he can't remember all of them. But he talked about some of the big ones he did on gun violence and on healthcare, which is one of the biggest ones around Penny he did. He talked about Dr. Ayla Stanford's complaints about, his impact during COVID. He said, listen, she would have not gotten that money for the Black Doctors Consortium had it not been for him, because he had the biggest assets that helped give her the money. And she called him. She called Vincent Hughes. She called state legislators when Kenny was not really trying to give her any money. And he named it. He said it's flat out and simple. As far as Rab on the progressive argument, he said that he's the only person who stood up to Donald Trump multiple times and has sued Donald Trump in court and has won. He said Rab can't get anything done and says he can't get anything done, but he says he can't get anything done. But he said he's the only one who's taken Trump to court and has defeated and bumped him. He says nobody else in this race can say they've done the same. He said he has stood up to Trump. He said he has passed legislation to address the issues in the community. And he says while Chris Rabb complains about how he can't get nothing done because he's going against, certain people within the House, he says he's done that work. I said, okay, pop your shit. But he did. He did. He definitely was a very passionate interview. I've seen Street talk on the campaign trail. It can be very long-winded at times. He can also kind of sometimes get very wonky. He knows his stuff, but he can get very wonky, and sometimes it's hard to get him down. But I think in this interview, I just sometimes think it's just about how important interviewers are. You can't let people just run. You can't cut people off shortly in certain phrasing, but you also can't let people just run and run and run. And so I've made it a point in my interview, you notice that I was really, kind of rooting him in to stay on topic and to stay focused so we can get as much out of him. And we did. I think I did a really, look at me giving myself kudos. Yeah, sometimes somebody got to do it. But I felt like I gave him I will give myself kudos in recognizing that he is very long-winded, but I think this time around, I really kept the conversation focused and got as much out of him as much as I could. And I was very happy with the interview. And I felt like I learned some good things. He is the front runner as far as financing go. I don't know politically, the polls. There's been no major polls that went out. But as far as funding goes, he's got the most money. And all his money comes from donors. And he's got people, the majority of people are coming from his money. It's coming from Philadelphia, from his district. That he can claim. There are other candidates who got outside money are funding their campaign. The majority of the money in Dr. Ayla Stanford's campaign and Dr. Dave Oxman's campaign is coming from them. Like, I think Dr. Ayla Stanford has given herself $250,000 of her own money she's put into the race, but that is significantly higher than the money she's actually getting from donors. There's a huge gap there. Sharif Street is not getting money from himself. He is getting money from his donors. Donors, everyday Philadelphians that are chipping in. People are giving a little over $200 or whatnot. He is getting individual donors. He has the most. Okay? That says something. He is, and that wasn't just, and let me be very clear, we're talking about numbers between October and December 31st. So this is according to the campaign finance records up until December 31st, 2025. So we don't know what the January numbers are looking like. We won't find that out until March. So these are like quarterly reports. So we'll get some information sometime at the end of March. I believe that next report will come early April. But now that we have the first segment, all of October, November, December, those 3 months between October to December, right? Now this is at the point where Dr. Ayla Stanford has declared. Everybody, all the major players have declared at this point. The money's not showing. I think that Morgan has more cash on hand than Rab. Dr. Ayla is over them, but the money isn't This money isn't, it's just not looking that good across the board. There's been no PAC money that has come yet. There's been no PAC money yet. No super PAC money is coming to the elections yet. That's not to say that there might not be some down the road, but as of right now, there's no PAC money that's entered the race. But so far, Shreve Street just holds a strong 6-figure margin. Cash on hand and money raised. His other candidates cannot say the same. A lot of, like I said, Dr. Dave Oxman and also Dr. Ella Stanford, the two doctors, they have some money at play, but a lot of that money is their own money that they've taken out loans. But it looks like in some cases they're spending more money than what they're actually raising. So it's getting interesting. But it's starting to get real. I predict that by March, some people are going to drop out. I just feel like it'd be fiscally irresponsible to continue to ask for more money when other people are showing up in a certain way. If you don't got a fighting chance, I don't know. I don't want to say who I think still got a fighting chance. It might be too hard. But we're going to see how this play out by March. We got to see some stuff play out. I don't want to say anything too early because some people might drop out next week or the week after, and then it's going to be like, But I'm observing this. I'm looking at this very carefully. But it appears that the front runner is still front running as of the time of the recording of this podcast. So I'll just say that. And then lastly, before we get to Ask Ernest, a lot of you all have been trying to figure out, how is Mayor Sherrell Parker screwing over DC33 again? It's complicated. But basically, this week, a lot of you all know there's been a lot of chatter on social media and in the news about snow removal. It's feeling like Antarctica out here, okay? Climate change is real. Remember that. Well, a lot of you all have been wanting the snow to get picked up. And the Parker administration's response to this was that they publicized this ambassador program that they have that is going to put economic opportunity out there for Philadelphians in the snow removal process. They got these ambassadors, is what they said, the term they used, that were going to help assist in the snow removal, and that they were going to be up to 300 of them that will go out to Philadelphia this week, going up and shoveling snow and really making sure they address this issue. Problem is, these are not union workers. They're not from DC33. DC33 did not know about it until we found out about it. They're pissed. They put out a statement really speaking out against the mayor's decision on this. They feel like this is scabbing. They feel like this is, once again, another disrespect to union work. Because DC33 individuals that do sanitation, they are largely involved in this type of snow removal. That's part of their purview of work. And to see that the mayor is, once again, deploying outside workers, it harkens back to what happened during the summer 2025 when they were on strike. And at that time, one could argue that, not that it was good behavior, not that scabbards were necessary, but that in that case, when there were no DCC workers, she put out these alternative workers to help. And some people say, well, look, the trash had to get done some type of way. Listen, it's complicated, right? But this is a union city. And Philadelphia has to determine that. Now, to see this snow removal situation, people are playing into the argument that somebody's got to do it, and this is what we need, yada, yada, yada. Political stand culture will have y'all going anti-union just to support a black mayor. I'm confused. I thought that we were a city that supported union workers. I did not know we were out here somewhere else in the South. I thought this was a union city. I thought this was a city that stood by the workers and told them to hold the line. I did not know that all of a sudden, because you all wanted some snow to be picked up, y'all was willing to get it taken care of by ununion workers. I did not know this was y'all work. I did not know this is how y'all got down. I was not aware of your work. So, very disappointing to see this. Now, I was given some intel on background by folks close to the Park administration that apparently the ambassador word is another word for same-day workers, and that these quote-unquote same-day workers are not by any means would have been qualified to be in any apprenticeship program or get any of the good-paying union jobs, and that in many ways the work that they're doing is not in competition or in replacement of the DC33 workers. Now, they didn't make this public, but apparently these individuals are basically same-day workers, and same-day workers do exist. They do work at the arenas. They do work at stadiums. Same-day work is something very common in Philadelphia. That's what this is. Now, the mayor tried to get fancy, and the team tried to make it fancy like they were doing some new program, but pretty much all they're doing is enlisting same-day workers to do this. And even more clarity on this, the same-day workers they have are individuals that are like, dealing with housing security, dealing with former substance abuse users, like individuals who are like downtrodden on their luck. It's not the typical people that, are doing this kind of work. Like, these are not those kind of workers. These are individuals that need an opportunity to make a little bit of quick cash. And even the work that they're doing, they're going through the alleyways, apparently. They're getting around street corners, but they're not doing like the on the street, snow removal that would be in comparison to the work that's being done by DC33 workers. Well, thanks for the clarity. We didn't know that. And y'all didn't tell that, and you pissed off DC33. And at this point, this could have all been resolved if they would have just had a conversation. I don't know why this mayor likes to be involved in very petty disputes. Beefing with a labor union is not the kind of flex you think it is. I just need to name that. It's not. So, yeah. Support unions. Pay close attention when these stunts come up, because I think it's a reoccurring theme that the mayor is doing every time she gets annoyed with DC33, anytime she can throw a shot or to disrupt their peace. These are like the things that she would do. I mean, if she needed same-day workers, that's fine. Say that. I mean, clearly more hands on deck is fine. But clarify what that work is and clarify how same-day workers is already a part of the city, and make it known what the pay is and what the differences are compared to simply being quiet. And then people are seeing, the CEO or the leader of this group smile, right? We didn't have to see that. We didn't have to see that. Like, could you imagine if DC33 was aware up front? Like, aware. Like, they was told, so then when this ambassadorship program would have happened, hell, everybody would have been on the same page. But that's not what we got. So, here we are. So with this week's Ask Ernest, a lot of you all have been asking me about AI, a lot about what I think about these memes, why I didn't do a meme. Somebody asked me, like, why you didn't do the meme? You would have been cool. Boo, boo, boo. I might have been cool. I don't know. But let me explain some to y'all. I'm going to remind y'all once again about this AI issue. For starters, can we admit that the old heads were lying to us, the Gen Xers, the boomers? Y'all was lying to us about a lot of shit. All these posts and these critiques about, I get it now. I get what's happening. Years ago, when I was younger, I remember a lot of the Gen Xers and the boomers were judging millennials like me. Talking about, y'all on that social media too much. Y'all don't know what's wrong with that social media. That social media gonna be a problem. Y'all on that TikTok, that Instagram, that Facebook, the book face and all that, putting y'all stuff on there. That's y'all too much. Da, 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 da. Be careful what y'all put on the internet. Y'all used to do that. That was y'all whole identity. Your identity was that millennials were hyper online, addicted to social media, and that, we weren't doing anything else. And that we were putting our information on the internet being dumb. I can't tell you how many grown ass adults, old enough to be my parents' age and older, hell, old enough to be my grandparents' age, getting on social media and putting your information into ChatGPT and generating images of your likelihood with an AI software and sharing that shit and encouraging others to participate. I don't know if you're dumb or stupid or a combination of both. But if no one told you this today, I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Please stop putting your personal information or any information about yourself, any of your pictures or your likelihood with ChatGPT. You know that once they own your likelihood and your imagery, they can do whatever they want with it. Congratulations, you've been fucked. There's no good that will come from AI. No good that will come from that type of AI. Generative AI? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think we need to address that. Okay? So there was a site called Essence GU, and I really liked some of the reports that they gave. I'm going to read some of this education because I'm going to read it, some of it in full. But just know that Black neighborhoods are already battling unsafe drinking water. And to see people, use these platforms, this is environmental neglect. This represents, quote, yet another invisible fight, this time in the name of progress. There is a lot of conversations around AI that's focused on job loss and algorithmic bias and data privacy and all that. But the real issue with this is bigger than that. It's about environment. By 2027, there is a global data center can consume up to 1.7 trillion gallons of water each year. A single ChatGPT query uses roughly 10 times the energy requirement for a typical Google search. So if you look up something from ChatGPT in a query there, it's going to use 10 times the energy that's required for a typical Google search. That is a scale that is staggering, and yet the burden is not equally shared. In the U.S., data centers are increasingly being built in predominantly Black and low-income communities. In Memphis, Tennessee, it offers a clear example. Elon Musk has that XAI that is constructing one of the world's largest AI super centers and one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. Okay, this represents a long history of environmental racism, where polluting industries and hazardous developments are being placed in communities with the least political and financial power to resist. This is serious. And it's not just with water use, okay? Data centers have enormous energy demands that are often led to the construction or expansion of nearby fossil fuel plants. They are introducing air pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and formaldehydes, which worsen the respiratory conditions like asthma. Black Americans are already disproportionately affected by these issues. Additionally, pressure on local power grids can lead to increased electricity costs, which is deepening energy insecurity for families already struggling to make ends meet. Water scarcity introduces another layer of risk. In drought-prone or water-stressed areas, billions of gallons are divested and diverted into cool AI servers, threatening not only the household water access, but the entire ecosystems. And there are reports from advocacy groups that are highlighting a disturbing trend known as digital redlining. This is when tech companies are placing their most resource-intensive and polluting facilities in Black and brown neighborhoods while building cleaner, more efficient centers in predominantly white communities. Okay? This is important because these economic benefits often are used to justify these developments, but they rarely align with reality. Though marketed as job creators, data centers typically offer a limited number of highly specialized roles that are often inaccessible to local residents without advanced technical training. Okay? So rather than closing the wealth gap, these centers are actually exacerbating displacement and economic inequality. Now is important to note, because this is important, that data centers are not unique to AI. Because, streaming services, social media platforms, cloud storage systems also rely on them. However, AI's rapid growth and extreme resource demands are accelerating the strain. The irony lies in AI's potential to help solve problems. And that's what's weird about it, right? They're trying to frame themselves as solving these problems. However, predictive models can monitor pollution, optimize agricultural water usage, detect municipal leaks, and even design more sustainable cooling systems for data system centers. So we're doing the very harms for a technology that's supposed to be giving us the solutions to those harms. The irony. Now, whether AI, fulfills their promise depends entirely and intentionally on whether it's developed or being deployed to do so. Now, that's some great reporting from Essence Goo, which is on social media. You should definitely follow them to get educated on more of these social issues. But I say all this to say, do you recognize that all of you all that just create those stupid ass images made it harder for a Black community that you came to care for? There are people in places like Memphis, Tennessee. There are data centers that are trying to be built here in Pennsylvania. Governor Shapiro, we want to hear from you on that. What are you doing with those data centers? Because it's going to make a lot of money. Where are they being placed? What are they going to do to our environment? Wake it up. Stay woke. These are the issues that I care about. And I think a lot of you all should. So that's why you're not going to see me make AI images. You're not going to see me use AI to make a motherfucking thing. I will go in Canva myself and design the flyer without using AI, by the way. I will go to Photoshop. I will hire creative artists to make the things I need. I'm not going to rely on AI to do all this shit for me. It's not good. It's not. Moving along. So with movies, this movie, Wuthering Heights, everybody's been talking about it. It's coming out this upcoming weekend. I've gotten a chance to see it. I like it. I do. Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, both of them Academy Award nominated actors. They're good in this. I like it. I was a little, thought it was gonna be a little too raunchy, but it's good. I'm feeling it. I really am. I thought it was very, very good. It is the only novel by English author Emily Bront where she used the pen name Ellis Bell. But it's by Emily Bront, this book. It came out in 1847. Now, mind you, this movie is definitely a loose interpretation. It's very interesting. I'm excited. People are saying that they think the movie is going to bring the 2026 box office to light. It is rated R. It's about 2 hours, 2 hours some change. But I enjoy it. The Charlie XCX music. I miss Charlie XCX. I'm excited for Charlie XCX. There are some concerns about the way the film, erases racial dynamics. I will say that that's what made Wuthering Heights what it is for those who read the book. The fact that both of the characters are white, the lead characters are white, I'm a little, I will say that is a choice and a critique. This film is directed by, Emerald. If anybody who knows Emerald Fennell, she has gotten some criticism for that casting choice. And I do think that casting choice was not, that was my biggest critique, because those who know about the way the character is supposed to be, the way the adaptation is, it should have been a little bit more diverse. She's directed Saltburn, which was another great film of hers. She's, Emerald Fennell has done some really great films. I do like her work. She's done The Danish Girl, Promising Young Woman, um, which is what I like. Now, the director was Tom Hopper, but Emerald Fennell has played in movies and directed movies. So if she's directed some films or she has done screenplays. So she directed Promising Young Woman, and she also did the screenplay. Great film. And she won the Academy Award for it. So she's, she did a great screenplay. So she's been in the business. She knows her stuff. Again, Saltburn, Wuthering Heights, Promising Young Woman are her major films. But she's also acted in other films. She was in The Crown. I want to remember who she played in The Crown. I don't want to. I think I know who it is, but I wanted to remember. So she played Camilla. That's who she played. She played Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall in The Crown. So for those who remember The Crown, that was her who played her. Listen, she played that, okay? And she definitely played that. Yeah, she sure did play that. I do remember that. But yes, very interesting film altogether, Wuthering Heights. If you suspend yourself from the book adaptation, you will find it more enjoying, but it is a little cringy that the racial elements of it has been kind of taken out. I do think those dynamics do play a role in it, but it is a more whitewashed version. But as far as the performances go and the chemistry, it is very primal. It is very it's very edgy in that regard. But people are already saying it's very divisive. It's a very polarizing film. Very polarizing. It's definitely going to rattle some thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts about the casting of the characters, the film. It's over the top. It's going to be a lot of talk. It's a very controversial film. It's provocative, but I will say it is worth the watch. It is worth the watch. It's very interesting. A very interesting piece of cinema coming out right now. Moving on to music. Before we talk about the Super Bowl, I don't want to get into the Super Bowl just yet. I got thoughts about the halftime show. I got thoughts about a lot of things. Before we get to the Super Bowl, I want to talk about Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm over Taylor Swift, y'all. I'm a little over her. I'm just not feeling this girl anymore. She dropped Opalite, the music video, which I gotta say, I'm low-key happy that we have not talked about Opalite. The music video, I do like the song, but I have not seen the music video. I refuse to watch it. I am not going to watch it on Spotify video. I am not going to watch it on Apple. I'm not pressed. If it lands on YouTube or somewhere, fine. I'm just over her. In the midst of everything happening right now, she has nothing to say about it. She wants to talk about her shit is just mass distraction. And I'm so happy that the music industry, the media did not give her much attention. Like, normally Taylor Swift will just dominate the press. But we're over her. Girl, bye. At one point in time, you would have thought, look, your man is not playing the Super Bowl, and he was not an Eagles, Eagles wasn't either. He wasn't a Patriot or a Seagull. He's nothing, right? And so, this is Cardi B's moment right now, right? But this ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it at all. And so for those who don't know the background, she put out the single, her second single, I guess Opalite's the second single. She put it out. She did not put it on YouTube because now apparently YouTube, like I predicted, my last week's episode, I talked about this, but YouTube is no longer going to be doing streams. They're not counting streams towards music now. So if you put a music video on YouTube, it's not going to count towards record streams or plays for a single. So if you're trying to chart number one, you got to put it on a music platform or whatnot. So now Spotify Music and Apple Music and those places that play music videos, they're going to put it exclusively there, so the streams for that will count towards the music streams. Taylor Swift is obsessed with streams. That's why all of her songs like debuted at #1 at this point. So now she's making Opalite a single, and she's trying to hopefully jug the system and juice the system. Listen, all this is just fucking like manipulated now. Like nowadays, to understand what an actual #1 hit is really hard, because now the numbers are being gamed in a certain type of way. And Taylor Swift is just playing the game. And honestly, it doesn't really, the value point of it doesn't hit the way it used to. Like to have a #1 hit 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, to be honest, shit, or 20 years ago meant something different than what it do now. I feel like so much of the current #1-ness of it all is like manufactured hype, manufactured virality. Like we don't really know. There are songs that are #1 on the charts that some people can just live with their life without knowing. Like the days of Hit Me Baby One More Time, the days of In the Club by 50 Cent, the days of Despacito, right? Like Old Town Road. Even if you was not a fan of Lil Nas X, you knew that song. You heard that song somewhere. Like, I remember #1 hits used to be annoying. A song being #1 used to be annoying. You know why it used to be annoying? Because it would literally be everywhere. Like Katy Perry, when she had #1 hits, when Gaga had #1 hits, Poker Face, you knew. Single Ladies by Beyonce, a lot of people do not like that song. But let me tell you something. You knew it because it was everywhere. Nowadays, these #1 hits, quote unquote, are not everywhere. You don't know. You don't know. You don't even know. Like, you don't know. The only #1 hit that is everywhere nowadays is Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. Like, that's everywhere. That's a #1 hit, baby. Like, We Belong Together, when that came out, Be Without You by Mary J. Blige, those were the songs that undeniably, no matter where you were, you heard that song. Okay? Even Taylor Swift's older #1 hits, like Shake It Off. Like Shake It Off was everywhere. Movies, commercials, like that was a #1 hit. That was a real #1 hit. But all these new songs coming up, child, you can live your whole life and not even know about them. Like you could go days, weeks, months not even knowing that song exists. Like even this new Bruno Mars song. Is anybody really talking about it? Is it really like all over the place? Like, does it compare to Uptown Funk? Like Uptown Funk, everybody was talking about that song. That song, they played that damn song at parties. Like, that's a real #1 hit to me. Blinding Lights by The Weeknd? Yeah. Unstoppable. You heard Blinding Lights everywhere. It's actually one of my favorite songs, actually, by him. But like, you remember Blinding Lights. You heard that everywhere. Where are the hits like that? Like Olivia Dean might give us that. Like, Man I Need, that's the #1 hit to me. I know it's not a #1 hit. Like Hello by Adele. Like when Adele had a #1 hit, baby, you knew it. Rolling in the Deep, that's #1 hit right there. Someone Like You, you knew that song. Even if you didn't like the song, you knew the song. These songs coming out nowadays, yeah. Like the new song by that's #1 apparently by Harry Styles. Probably didn't even hear it yet. Probably don't even know. Probably didn't even know it was #1 last week. Probably didn't even know. It's okay. Olivia Dean, Man I Need, is growing. It's starting to take that level of, it's starting to get out there. She's starting to blow up as a star. She just had this major televised performance at the Grammys. Hopefully that plays a role in her getting this #1 hit. But like songs like Man I Need, that feels like a #1 hit. That feels like a song that we're all, even if we don't like it, even if you don't like it, you know it. It's out there, right? But that's what I'm saying. We don't really have songs like that nowadays. Or the ones that are not churning at #1 because you got these mega bots that's streaming. That's why I feel about Folded. Like Folded should have been #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. I know that Folded is a real organic #1 song. But because of the massive, obsessive budgets of these mainstream pop artists, they won't ever get to number one, even though deep down inside, those are the songs that people are actually listening to and really talking about. Like, Folded is a real number one hit. Even though it's not number one on Billboard Hot 100, people are listening to Folded. People are talking about Folded. There are real songs out there that's like undeniable. Just saying. So, I'm just over her. Like, right now, the world is on fire. She's just pushing more product, more songs, more stupid vinyls that no one needs. And she's doing it in a time where it's like she's intentionally trying to be the narrative. Baby, it's Bad Bunny. It's Bad Bunny season, baby. Even if you don't even care for Bad Bunny, it's Bad Bunny season. Okay, it is his time. It's not your moment. You didn't want to perform for the Super Bowl. We're good. Thank you. Moving on. Next. I just feel like she's always want to pop up at a time where it's somebody else's shine. We're over it, girl. We're over it. We're over it. And low key, I hope that Opalite don't get number one, but I know how these numbers work. She's like that intense student that just wants to get an A on every assignment, which is nothing wrong with that. But do the most and do things that's just like, you know what? You're doing too much. You're trying too hard. It's forced. And it's like, read the room. Yeah, she's that person. Yep. And speaking of Olivia Dean, before I get to the Super Bowl, I don't know what y'all doing. I don't know what the internet's doing. But now all of a sudden everybody got opinion about Olivia Dean. And I want y'all to stop. Immediately. Cease and desist. Leave her alone. Okay? I don't like these made up narratives y'all giving her. And y'all need to stop. Like, y'all got to stop. Olivia Dean is not trying to be a trad wife. Olivia Dean is not trying to promote, respectability politics. Can y'all stop projecting on this woman? Because here's the issue. Here's the hypocrisy. Is that I thought that feminism created space for all different types of women, especially in music, right? Olivia Dean is a Black woman, a British Black woman that is making music that is sensible for her taste and her personality, her style. I believe her. She's giving a level of, posh glamour. She's pretty. She's beautiful. I love her music. I do. And I don't think she's trying to enforce any standards about what a woman should be. She's not doing that. She's just being herself. And it's almost like me, for example. If somebody was like, Ernest, I know that you ain't bagging, right? Sagging and wagging and yada, yada, yada. You're trying to push a respectability. No, I'm fucking not. I'm just how I dress how I want to dress. I am who I want to be. I like caviar. I'm not telling you that just because you don't like caviar that you're not something. It's what I fucking like. It's my taste. Okay? That's just me. And I think it's important to let people be who they are. She wants to be that type of artist. That's her style. She's pretty. She's glam. She wants to go that's her artistic way she wants to express herself. And her music is fine. I think I find the soul in her music. But I also think that it's okay that she wants to make lighthearted music. She does not have to be this extreme songstress that you're used to. Why does every Black woman who can sing, you want them to sing in a certain type of key, in a certain type of range every fucking time? Everybody should not sing like Jasmine Sullivan. Not everybody can sing like Jasmine Sullivan. And that's okay. I think Olivia Dean can sing well. And I think the songs that she sings fits her range, her vocal range, and her mood. And she's a vibe. And I like her aesthetic. And I don't think everyone needs to copy it, but I don't think she needs to copy everybody else's. And I think that that's the fucking problem, is that now we're going to extremes with everybody's artistry. So, because here's the problem, right? Here's what I don't get with the internet. And that's why I don't play these internet games and why I don't listen to people with their nonsense. There was a time where you all said the industry is forcing hypersexualized artists onto us. They're forcing twerking. They're forcing, women to be more explicit, and that sex sells, and that all we're seeing is midriffs and cleavage and yada, yada, yada. Remember that narrative? Remember that there was this conspiracy that the narrative is that everybody's pushing sex and music, which I do think that some of that is true. But however, remember you all said
The industry will not allow for a black woman, an attractive young black artist, to, not do that in order to get a number one hit or to chart the top, the chart the tops. They have to lean into sexuality and cleavage and things. In walks Olivia Dean. And now you're saying, oh, there's an agenda to try to push respectability politics. Which one the fuck is it? Seriously, I want to throw my towel at y'all. Which one is it? You don't like Olivia. You didn't like, Rihanna, right? And you said that people like Rihanna, right, was being too sexual, too vulgar, too explicit, and that the industry was trying to force all that onto us. Okay, that's what y'all said about Rihanna and people of that like, right? Right, okay? Now you get an artist like Olivia Dean who is wearing long dresses and gowns, wanna, dress in a very modest but glamorous upscale look. And now it's, I get trad wife vibes from her. So now trad wives are women who wear gowns. Do y'all know how stupid you sound? So now trad wives is any woman who wants to cook food, and cook and do dining. Is now, like, do y'all know what these things mean? Oh my goodness. This is progressive stupidity. This is just dumb. If you don't like Olivia Dean, it's okay. If you want all your black R&B artists to sing loud and boat and holler and hoop to holler, okay. You want everybody to be Mariah Carey, got it. You want everybody to be Jasmine Sullivan, even though a lot of people cannot sing that range. Mariah can't even sing her own range, but that's how you want your black women artists. You create this goalpost and standard of it. Every black woman in pop music, if she dances, it got to be Beyonce, right? Right. Because if they don't dance and do choreo like Beyonce, they're not good enough. They can't just be Victoria Monet and give us that choreo. Everybody has to be compared to Beyonce or Mariah or Whitney, right? There's no room for nuance. There's no room for different types of expressions. And then you all wonder why our music ecosystem has been so fucking redundant for the past, decade? Maybe 15 years. Nearly 20 years of redundancy. Okay? Because this is what you all want. This is what you churn the fuck out. If an artist is not sexy explicit, they're considered boring and respectable. If they're respectable or decent, then there's not. Like, there's no decision. Olivia Dean, keep doing what you're doing. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to listen to Rihanna. I'm going to listen to Meg. Barely. I'm going to listen to Cardi. I'm going to listen to Adele. I'm going to listen to Olivia Dean. I'm going to go back and listen to some Duffy. I am going to listen to everybody because I have taste. I have range. I have a life that allows me to play Olivia Dean and then sometimes Sade and sometimes, I ain't gonna name that person. And it's not Nikki, by the way. It's somebody else, but I ain't gonna name that person. Anita Howard. Okay? Do y'all know Anita Howard? That's what I was talking about. Anita Howard. Freaky. You want to talk about original freaky joint, okay? But there's got to be room for the Summer Walker and the Olivia Dean. For the Keisha Cole and the Alicia Keys. Well, early Alicia Keys. But there's got to be range, y'all. And I think we just got to, stop trying to compare everybody. I just hate the comparisons. Especially when they lack nuance and context. So, that's my plea to leave Olivia Dean the fuck alone. Please. I'm begging you. I'm requesting that. And we move on.
So this Super Bowl halftime performance and show, first of all, I was with my brother, it was a lovely night. Mr. Johnson and I, was with the young straight. We watched the game. Patriots lost, which, I wasn't shocked by that, I guess, but the epicness of the loss, what an ass whooping. The Seahawks won undecidedly. It was a bloodbath. And I'm not really a fan of football, so y'all already know how I feel about CT and all that other stuff. I'm not really crazy about football like that, but it was a one. The halftime game itself, or the performance, sorry. It was okay. It was cool. It was cute. It was nice. I give it an 8 out of 10. Um it was an 8 out of 10. I like the Ricky Martin cameo. Gaga. I would like Cardi B. I know she was there with Jessica Alba. They had that little dance thing, but it was like kind of subtle. I mean, he was great. I mean, Bad Bunny's a great artist. The music was cool. I recognize some of the songs. I would say that this was probably the most production value that they gave a Super Bowl performance I've seen. Like the set was immaculate. Sorry, immaculate. Was immaculate. It was an incredible set. Like the theme, it was very cinematic, and I think that it was probably one of the most visually stunning Super Bowl like art directions I've seen, because most of the time it's a stage, it's lights. And I think they really took advantage of the fact that they were on the West Coast, so there was daylight because of the time zone difference. So they took advantage of that. And so I appreciated that there was an actual set. Like we were in Puerto Rico, and that was a vibe. The energy was very up there, lots of energy. They had a real live wedding celebration, which was beautiful. It was very beautiful. It was a very different type of production. I don't think it's fair to compare it, because I think they were going in a different direction, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the storytelling. I can appreciate the visualness of it. I can appreciate the lightheartedness of it, and I can appreciate the very united messaging that was there. And it was a great introduction to who Bad Bunny was to the rest of the country. I mean, the world knows he's a global superstar, but I feel like to everyday Americans who may not know who he is or understand him, I thought it was a very good introduction to understanding his art, his creativity, and who he is. So I thought that was really magnificent, especially given that like this man has had probably one of the best weeks ever. You win album of the year, last Sunday, and then this Sunday you perform on the Super Bowl stage. I mean, the timiness and the marketing, I mean, it was genius, Yeah, so I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I don't really have, for what it was giving, I think you have to critique things based on where it stands. Again, my only critiques was I wish that there would have been more dynamic surprises as far as performers go. Again, Ricky Martin was smart. I was just like, I kept saying, this can't happen without Ricky Martin. Like what Ricky Martin done as a Puerto Rican for the explosion of the early 21st century, there would be no Bad Bunny without Ricky Martin. Like Ricky Martin in this century helped modernize that type of sound into the American discography. Viva La Vida Loca. I mean, all of that, like, I still remember that growing up. Like, I think that there is, like, you cannot, I mean, Daddy Yankee would have been cool. I mean, reggaeton, there's part of me that would go, oh, I would have liked some more reggaeton rappers, but again, it's not my production, but I feel like there was that element of it that I felt like it played a little too safe. A little too safe. But I understand why. I understand. And that's why I can't be too hard on it. But people have given it a straight 10, and I can understand that. I think for me it was an 8 out of 10, which is not bad. Kendrick's performance last year, I gave Kendrick probably like an 8 out of 10 as well. I'm trying to think the last time I gave somebody a really high number. I mean, Beyonce, of course, got a high rating. I think I gave Rihanna's performance a 9 out of 10. And I don't want to sound crazy, say the pregnancy is what gave it a 9. I mean, because I think that she made a pregnancy reveal, and I was nerve-wracked about her safety, that's why I couldn't give it a full 10. But if she would have not been pregnant, just for performance purposes, I think it would have just been a different type of show. But I gave that a little bit higher. I think I gave Kendrick like an 8.5, maybe 8. because I just felt like I wonder what Kendrick would have sounded like given that GNX album and everything. Like if we would have had, I don't know, uh, different things I would have thought about. But I get it. I think Kendrick was, if there was ever a time to give him the Super Bowl stage, I think that last year was the best year, to be honest. But Bad Bunny was good. I think it was the right. He had some right sound selection, some great song choices. Yeah, it was pretty solid. It was pretty solid. I don't have too many complaints. The commercials was what kept me. There were some things I need to let go of. Not me let go of, but other people. I think the 50 Cent commercial, the whole DoorDash thing, honestly, can we like put that to bed? Like this whole embracing 50 Cent as a troll. He's a Trump supporter. He's a piece of shit. He's got his own allegations. I just don't know why I don't want to hear anybody talk because this is the issue. What I don't appreciate is the double standard. So it's okay. Like everyone wants to give Meg Thee Stallion hell for sharing her experience with Tory Lanez and and what happened to her as a victim. It was a problem for Cassie to get a settlement after being abused by Diddy. But all of a sudden, it's okay for 50 Cent, a man who was not victimized by Diddy or a victim of any type of sexual abuse or violence of any kind, to capitalize off of other black men who've done these things. But it just, the narrative don't make sense. Everyone's like, oh, we got to protect black men. We shouldn't, blah, blah, blah on black men. But then you have a black man like 50 Cent that's literally mocking it. He doesn't give a fuck about victims. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. But he gets to do this and everybody celebrates it. So which one is it? Either we're going to not shit on black men, which is, again, I don't give a fuck about these black men who did these harmful things. But if that is the logic that y'all want to use, then how is it that you go up for a guy like him who literally like dragged black men up and down? Like, I don't get it. Like the jokes about Floyd Mayweather and illiteracy with the ABC book, the reference to Sean with the puffy snacks out the bag, the Ja Rule reference with the clock always on time, the reminder of whether it's months, how long Diddy's in his sentence. Like, I just feel like everybody thinks that's just cute and funny, and it's okay for him to do it. He has no level of revenge necessary because, like, what is the point, right? So I just not really feeling it. Not. And the consistent dragging of Jay-Z, like, let's also get this clear. Jay-Z was not in the Epstein files and any actual data. Like, the references to Jay-Z and to other names is rooted in a tips hotline that basically dropped anonymous, random-ass tips that were not verified or substantiated. He was not actually in any of the verified emails or documents related specifically to Epstein in the time in which he was doing the things he were doing. He's not, okay? But you know who is? Trump and others. He is not. So this obsession with consistently naming Jay-Z in 1,000 things, references to Eclipse, like these people were not there. Like, let it the fuck go. Like, all of the levels to which people are trying to throw pasta on the fridge around Jay-Z, it's like there's no smoking gun. Even the narrative that he might have had a son out there, that this guy who looked like him at one point, and then that got killed. Like, at some point, it's like you all hung out with these people. Now you all want to tell us about their dirty secrets or alleged allegations. Well, I'm looking at you funny because you all hung out with these people. You all wanted to be on their songs and feature and collab with them. So it's just 50 Cent is an ass kisser to Trump. He's a step and fetcher for Trump. And to all the people that want to keep dropping the Epstein shit, it's like, but okay, I want to make this make sense. If you're a Trump supporter and you want to use these terms like, oh, Jay-Z, PDF, and all this, how do you do that, but at the same time don't acknowledge that your fave is also
implicated. Because Jay-Z's not actually implicated in the actual emails or documents or anything, right? So how do you make these speculations about all these other people, but then ignore and skip over the conservatives and Trump, who is named? Like, make it make sense. So, it don't. And also, what are y'all going to do? Because it seems like the only people that's dropping out at this point are like professors and academics and, other, folks connected to it. Like there's a lot of people that are professors in Ivy League schools, their connections to it got them stepping off of boards and resigning. But the high profile major players, they're still staying put. People connected to the Trump administration are still staying put. None of the people are like resigning. Just something to consider, right? Also, now I like her, right? Travis Kelce's ex, she, I like her. I think she's cool, right? But, I gotta say, I want her to move on. Kayla Nicole, beautiful lady, lovely lady. But it just seems like she is consistently riding this wave of continuing to, make herself relevant off of this situation. I don't know if she's like dry out of cash, but I would hate that at a certain point, and this is my opinion, you gotta kind of move on. Like at a certain point, it begins to look like, okay, in the beginning, girl, get your revenge, look good, move on, do your thing, right? When she first had the Man Enough for Me with Tony Braxton, she had the cute little outfit, she did her thing. Yeah, girl, live your life. I get it, girl. Get your lick back, right? But then to turn around and then, to turn around and, okay, show up to Tony Braxton's concert and do the dance. Okay, fine. Now to do a whole Super Bowl commercial, it's like, you gotta move on now. Like, I want you to move on. I want you to get a new boyfriend, get a new situation, launch a new business. Just do something that is not rooted in your ties to this. Because at a certain point, you just become the bitter ex. Like at the beginning, it's like, oh, by all means, girl, live your best life, stun on them hoes. But then if we're still having this thing where every single time you're connected to it, it just becomes, unless there's like a nuanced take, but it's like you're just the ex. And I've been there, not as an ex of anything, but I remember how 10 years ago, I remember that there was this, by all means, I'm not talking about relationships at all, but when you're connected to a particular like controversial moment, right? There was a period of time where I felt like so many people wanted to just link me to the Justin Timberlake situation. Now, by all means, it was an epic thing. It was a big deal. Like, ain't no denying that. But at a certain point in time, I was like, I don't want to keep talking about this like all the time. Like, this isn't the only thing I do. This is my work. I don't care about him. Like, to the point where every time he did something, people was like, oh, well, look what happened. This should, it's like, I don't like, that's not relevant, right? Now, when he made the song, about the situation and he made a whole new song, he decided to open that conversation up. And of course, it's a song and the song says something, and it was like, everybody was like, okay, what do you think about this? And it's like, okay, I'll say something, right? Because he opened it up and it was about the situation. And I was like, okay, that's crazy, right? And then he did the Super Bowl performance like right around that time. So yeah, okay, conversation. But I didn't want to like make that the centerpiece. And I'm so happy I didn't, because when you get in a phase where people will hyper obsess over one particular moment in your life, then that becomes the thing that defines you. Fortunately, that incident, that encounter did not define my career. People thought it was. It was 2016. People was like, oh, you're going to have this moment and then boom, one hit wonder, one hit whatever. That was not the case. 10 years later, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I'm on book 2. I'm how many episodes in my podcast? I mean, that's a part of my story, but that's not the story. And I think that's so important. And so I'm talking as somebody who's had a major moment in my life that was in the public eye, that my advice to her is, okay, you done got on a Super Bowl commercial. You done went viral. You done had these moments. It's about time to probably begin the transition before it becomes cringe. You know, that's all. I just feel like, and there's just always, and to be clear, Taylor Swift is still doing things too. Her video, they want to keep this feud going between this white woman and this black woman. I just think both of them, like, girl, you're engaged to Travis Kelce, girl. You don't need to be throwing no shade to his ex-girlfriend. Like, why does it matter? Girl, you should be moving on. Why are you worried about her? Like, everybody in this situation just need to grow up. Like, it's not interesting to me. The articles, the mystery shit, like, this is just so, like, everybody's in their 30s. Like, let's be grown. That's my take on it. And then lastly, on TV, before I head out, Sherri Shepherd, people are talking about the cancellation of Sherri Shepherd's show and the fact that she didn't get a clean exit. She didn't get to announce her departure in the way in which Kelly Clarkson got to. Apparently she had COVID and there was a lot of abruption in the way that was announced. And that's unfortunate. People have been asking me, how do I feel about all these TV shows getting canceled, these talk shows? I mean, it's not that many. I mean, it's just Kelly Clarkson and Sherri Shepherd. I mean, there's speculation that maybe Jennifer Hudson, but that's not been confirmed. So I can't speak on that because that hasn't been confirmed. But I mean, where I stand on it personally, I just feel like we're in a different place in general. That, I just feel like we're in a different place where this is the state of media is different. Like, these talk shows, we're just in a different era now. I mean, everybody's on YouTube. Everybody is streaming stuff. Talk shows just have to evolve, And I think talk shows do need to evolve. I think talk shows need to, the standard sit down with one person. Like, listen, if Jennifer Hudson's show if Jennifer Hudson's show gets canceled, I ain't gonna hold y'all. I'm not gonna miss it. Like, I'm not gonna miss it. I don't know who really watches these shows anymore. They're not memorable. There's no moments. Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I miss Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is problematic as fuck, but you know what? That was a show that you just could not miss. Even if you didn't watch it live, you went and go watch the reruns and the replays. Wendy Williams understood TV. Oprah understood TV. The people on TV right now, you know what the problem is? We're not developing actual, like, talent. Like, Tamron Hall, I think her show is pretty good. I think Tamron Hall's show was good. But Sherri Shepherd just does not have main character energy. Jennifer Hudson is not perfect, is not good for the TV format. I think Kelly Clarkson, what she was doing was filling that Ellen void, which was like variety show energy. But, we got so much of that going on so many other platforms. And I also think Kelly Clarkson, I think her show could have lasted longer if she didn't have all other stuff going on. She had the divorce and then he died and there was a drama. I just think she needed to tend to her kids and focus on her. So I understand that with her. Sherri Shepherd, like, that show just never felt exciting. It just never did. It never felt like must-see TV. I can't tell you that many interviews I remember. I just felt like it was just there. Jennifer Hudson's show, I just think that Jennifer Hudson she's got the star power thing working for her because she's already a celebrity and she's regarded in the industry. But I'm not watching that show thinking I'm going to get, I don't know what to get from that show. So yeah, that's the state that we're in. That's the state. Now, a show that I'm enjoying that I really liked, that kind of I watched in a very different way because he is my fraternity brother. We're not in the same chapter, clearly. But the show Wonder Man, it's on Disney Plus. I like it. And I think what's really great about this show is that it ends the superhero fatigue. It's not the typical, it's a miniseries. It's really thoughtful. There's 8 episodes, but they go really well. I really enjoyed the show. A really great show. A very different show. It was not what I thought. If you're not someone who's interested in those very Marvel-y, superhero action show, it's not like that. There's a very great character arc here, and I really enjoy it. Ben Kingsley is in it. The lead actor is my fraternity brother, Yahya Abdul Mateen II. He plays Simon Williams. Very great cast. Some really great performances. A really great storyline. I really enjoyed this. It is really good. Very, very good. He's a Hollywood actor that's thrust into the world of superheroes as he gets his powers of his own and becomes this new superhero called Wonder Man. I don't want to tell it, but it is good. It is very good. It is something different. And you know what? Marvel needs to stick to just trying to do shows with Black characters. We need more difference. It's not the typical cliche. Everybody always thought that Black Panther was going to be a moment and not a movement. But I definitely think we can definitely get more. We need more. And we just gotta, there's gotta be some more diversity in these superheroes and just do a lot more. So yeah, I really appreciated the show. And if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. We're doing a countdown until we get to see, the Netflix, tell all on America's Next Top Model, which drops next week. So, I'm at the edge of my seat waiting for that. But yeah, I really, really, really like this show a lot. It was some interesting TV, very different than what I was expecting. But yeah, that's everything. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm about to start I have a new online course for public speaking that's going to launch this week for my 10A at CCP. So students who are taking the 10-week version of my course that launches literally this week. And so I got, I'm back in the grind, of course. And yeah, I'm getting ready for Orlando later this week. It's going to be a very nice, warm, peaceful anniversary, Valentine's Day, pre-birthday bash for Mr. Johnson. It's going to be a very good time. So it's going to be fun. And I look forward to keeping you updated on everything. I will not be hosting On the Record with Ernest Owens next Sunday because I'm going to be on vacation, this anniversary vacation. I'm going to actually enjoy a vacation that is not connected to anything work-related. This is different for me. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to try it. Because y'all know I'm going to go South by Southwest next month in March, and I got the speaking engagement. I'm excited about that. And that's going to be work related. Go a little bit fun, Austin, Texas. I really haven't explored Austin that much. I've been to Dallas, of course, Houston, H-Town. But in San Antonio, grew up, going to San Antonio for different things. St. Marcus, shout out to them with the beautiful outlet. But I've not had a full Austin experience. So anybody from Philly that is around, that I like, we can chill and we can chat. But, I'm definitely with my podcast Evolutions people throughout the weekend. But it's going to be a good time nonetheless. So I'm just staying good. So y'all stay warm, stay well, stay rested. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.